Chapter 47. Xiaochen didn't know why Qing Minjing suddenly got angry. He was a little puzzled, but she was the first Mississippi. After a moment of silence, Xiaochen said, "Well, I'll go at 4 o'clock and come back at 7 o'clock to cook for you. I won't be late." You. Qing Minjing was even more annoyed by Xiaochen's answer. She was not an unreasonable person. Go out at 4 o'clock and come back at 7 o'clock? However, she didn't know how to refute him. At this moment, the first Miss Jean Bebe a little. If this little devil was here, she should have a way to deal with Xiaochen, right? Now she could only stamp her feet and snort. Do whatever you want. You don't have to come back. I'm not that delicate. However, you've delayed my meal. 50 yuan will be deducted from your food expenses. From the day after tomorrow, I won't pay you anymore. After being deducted 50 yuan by the first miss, Xiaochen could only smile bitterly. He shook his head and walked into the kitchen to boil some instant noodles. Yi Xiaoye was still preparing the medicine in the kitchen. However, it was obvious that she didn't intend to boil it in the kitchen. She would take it upstairs after setting the proportion and filling the water. Seeing Yi Xiaoye, Xiaochen suddenly remembered that he still needed her help. So he said to her, "Yi Xiaoye, can you lend me your electric clay pot? What are you going to do with it?" Yi Xiaoye looked at Xiaochen strangely. "I'm also going to boil medicine," Xiaochen said. There would be a smell of medicine when boiling medicine. Even if one was locked in a room, there would be a slight smell. This couldn't be deceived. Of course, Xiaochen wouldn't say that he was going to use it for cultivation. He just said, "I haven't been feeling well recently, so I bought some medicine." No. Yi Xiaoye looked at Xiaochen strangely and shook her head coldly. "I have money to buy it. I don't need yours." Xiaochen smiled bitterly and said, "I'm just going to use it once." Xiaochen had the 200 yuan that the first miss just gave him in his pocket. Together with the money he had before, he could buy an electric clay pot. "Don't you know that medicinal materials can't be mixed and boiled? My clay pot has boiled my medicinal materials. If I boil your medicine, there will be problems. That's not good for both of us." Yi Xiaoye explained, "My herbs are priceless, and each set is expensive. You won't be able to pay for it if you break it." But Yi Xiaoye didn't lie. "My medicinal materials are very expensive. You can't afford it. You can't afford it." Xiaochen said. Xiaochen said. Xiaochen said, Xiaochen. You Xiaochen dozens. "Well, I'm sorry. I don't know about this. I'll buy one myself." Xiaochen could only postpone the plan for another day. "I still have a new one that I haven't used. You can use it. You buy the same one and give it back to me." Yi Xiaoye looked at Xiaochen and said lightly, "Thank you," Xiaochen said gratefully. He didn't expect Yi Xiaoye to lend it to him. "It's nothing." After Yi Xiaoye mixed her medicinal materials, she took the clay pot upstairs and said, "Come with me." Xiaochen followed Yi Xiaoye upstairs. Qing Minjing looked at Xiaochen with a strange expression. She heard the conversation between Xiaochen and Yi Xiaoye in the kitchen. She was just puzzled. Why is Xiaochen not feeling well? Is it because he is tired of walking to and from school every day? Was she being too harsh on him? Thinking of this, Qing Minjing felt a little ashamed in her heart. But she suddenly changed her mind. Something is wrong. That day in the gym, Xiaochen was very vigorous. His body looked good. He beat Ma Gangmen until he was looking for his teeth on the ground. It didn't seem like there was a problem with his body at all. Is he using the electric clay pot for other things? The miss subconsciously opened the backpack that Xiaochen threw on the sofa when he came back. She rummaged in it and really found a bag of medicinal materials. This time, it seems that Xiaochen is really going to boil the medicine. Is he really not feeling well? Qing Minjing wanted to care about it, but she gave up after thinking about it. She didn't want Xiaochen to misunderstand that she still liked him. No, she had never liked him at all. Xiaochen followed Yi Xiaoye to the door of her room. Xiaochen was about to follow, but he saw Yi Xiaoye turn around and say to Xiaochen, "Don't come over. Just stand here and wait for me." Obviously, Yi Xiaoye didn't want Xiaochen to see her room, so she asked Xiaochen to stop. However, Xiaochen wasn't a voyeur. Although he was curious about Yi Xiaoye's room, he still stood in place. Yi Xiaoye entered the room and closed the door. After a while, She came out with a paper box and handed it to Xiaochen. Here, remember the model and brand. I want the same. Thank you. Xiaochen took the paper box. But when he saw the price tag on the paper box, his mouth suddenly twitched twice. Motherf * Ker, 999 yuan. In the past, when Xiaochen saw the slogan of 999 yuan on the TV shopping, Xiaochen thought that what good things could he buy with 999 yuan. But now, 999 yuan was a sky-high price for Xiaochen. My herbs have very high requirements for the temperature and material of the clay pot. Only this kind of clay pot can do it. The other ones aren't good and waste the herbs. Yi Xiaoya seemed to see through Xiaochen's mind. She explained, of course, you don't have to use it. Tomorrow you can buy a cheaper one. At the farmer's market, you might not even need it 99%. Xiaochen's heart was slightly shocked. Luckily, I spoke too much and borrowed an electric clay pot from Yi Xiaoya. If I blindly buy one, wouldn't I be blind to my herbs? One had to know that his medicinal ingredients were also very precious and had great uses. Thinking of this, Xiaochen quickly said, when I earn enough money, I will return it to you. Cheng Minjing doesn't give you a salary? Yi Xiaoya nodded and asked casually. No, our relationship is more complicated. It's not easy to explain in a few words. Xiaochen shrugged. Oh, Yi Xiaoya apparently didn't want to get to the bottom of it, but she seemed to have some contempt for Xiaochen. She responded and didn't say anything. She turned around and went back to the room. Xiaochen took the electric clay pot downstairs. When he saw that his backpack was open, he was slightly surprised. As for the missy, she didn't mean to be sneaky at all. Why did you buy medicine? Is there really something wrong with your body? Although Cheng Minjing thought it was a bit unbelievable, it was true that Xiaochen bought medicinal herbs and borrowed the electric clay pot. So Cheng Minjing was a little puzzled. She finally couldn't help but ask. It's not a big deal. During this period of time, I have great joy and sorrow. It's an emotional problem. These medicines soothe the liver and the stomach. Xiaochen explained casually. Oh, Cheng Minjing nodded. I thought you adapted well. Haha, there is a process to adapt. Xiaochen said with a smile. I'm starving. When are you going to make instant noodles? Asked Cheng Minjing. The water is boiled. I'm going to get it now. Xiaochen turned and walked to the kitchen. His heart was warm. The missy and Yi Xiaoya's personalities were somewhat similar. They were cold on the outside but warm on the inside. And they both had a bit of a missy's temper. Yi Xiaoya treated Xiaochen well. The missy also quietly cared about him, which made Xiaochen feel that his current life was not bad. After making the instant noodles, Xiaochen put it on the dining table and asked Cheng Minjing to eat the noodles. Cheng Minjing put down the TV remote control in her hand. She tidied the hair on her forehead, tied it up, and pinned it on a hair clip. This was the first time Xiaochen saw a missy without bangs. At the moment, Cheng Minjing looked a little lazy and casual. It turned out that the goddess was also an ordinary person in her daily life. What are you looking at? Have you never seen a beauty before? Cheng Minjing felt that Xiaochen was staring at her. She felt a little uncomfortable being stared at. Xiaochen shifted his gaze and smiled. I realized that it was a mistake for me not to pursue you before. Humph. It's too late now. Although Cheng Minjing said so, she was quite happy in her heart. She didn't know why Cheng Minjing cared about Xiaochen's affirmation. Was it because he was her ex-fiancé? Of course. Shen Jingxian and Ke Lin aren't bad either. Xiaochen said. Playboy. Cheng Minjing was just a little happy, but after listening to Xiaochen's words, she became angry again. Do you think you're the head of the Xiao family? You still want to have multiple wives and concubines. Even the head of an aristocratic family doesn't dare to marry me or Jingxian as a concubine. Hee. Xiaochen smiled. It was indeed like this. In an aristocratic family, although some men would have concubines in addition to the main wife, the concubines were usually ordinary people. It was impossible for them to be the missy of an aristocratic family. Mine doesn't taste good. I'll give it to you. Cheng Minjing ate 2 mouthfuls of the instant noodles in the lunchbox and found that the taste was not to her taste. It was sweet and spicy. She didn't like it, so she directly exchanged the beef-flavored instant noodles that Xiao Chun hadn't eaten yet. Xiao Chun was a little speechless. He pointed at the instant noodles that the Missy had eaten and said, "Is this considered taking advantage of you? And I'll reluctantly let you take advantage of me." Cheng Minjing went back yesterday and thought about it. In fact, what Yi Xiaoya said was also right. If this was considered as an indirect kiss, then was staying in the hotel considered as an indirect bed? Xiao Chun looked at Cheng Minjing's appearance. It didn't seem like she was taken advantage of at all. She ate with relish. He was speechless. He picked up the chopsticks and ate the sweet and spicy noodles that the Missy had eaten that night. It really wasn't delicious. I won't buy this flavor next time, Xiao Chun thought. With the Missy's saliva, Xiao Chun finished eating and went to wash the dishes. He didn't have any dirty thoughts in his heart. He had a good position for himself. Now it was unrealistic to flirt with Missy, so Xiao Chun simply didn't think about these things. After dinner, Missy continued to watch TV. Xiao Chun went back to his room to brew medicine. Brewing medicine in the room, Xiao Chun finally imagined how painful Yi Xiaoya was. The room was filled with a strong smell of medicine. Even if the window was opened, the smell wouldn't disperse for a long time. Moreover, according to the prescription of Elder Heaven Ancestor, this medicine needed to be brewed for 5 hours. One medicine could be brewed 3 times. In other words, Xiao Chun had to endure for 5 hours every day. Chapter 48. Fortunately, for the sake of strength, Xiao Chun could endure anything. After spending 5 hours in cultivation, the body-tempering potion was successfully brewed. Elder Heaven Ancestor, should I take it now? Xiao Chun heard the alarm of the electric clay pot, so he asked. This high-end electric clay pot was good. Not only could he set the temperature, but he could also set the time. There was no need to worry that it would run out of time. You can take it, but after taking it, you need to exercise your body and completely absorb the potency. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, "Exercise? Don't I practice every day?" Xiao Chun asked as he unplugged the electric clay pot and poured the potion inside into the bowl. Exercise is different from cultivation. Cultivation is to regulate breath, absorb the spirit of heaven and earth, and transform the essence of the sun and moon into yuan qi in the body. But exercise is to exercise the body, which is the so-called martial artist's cultivation method. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, "Oh, that is to say, I need to exercise in order to fully exert the potency of the potency?" Xiao Chun asked. "Yes," Elder Heaven Ancestor said. "You will exercise the way you used to exercise. I don't need to tell you these things, right?" "I understand." Xiao Chun picked up the bowl of medicine and drank every single drop of the medicine into his stomach. Then, he began to train his body, just like how he trained his inner strength in the past. Before practicing inner strength, there was a set of body movements. Xiao Chun had practiced this set of body movements for more than 10 years. Although there was no progress, Xiao Chun still practiced for more than 10 years. Now he was very familiar with it. After drinking the potion, Xiao Chun began to dance in the room. It was inevitable to make noise when practicing. In the past, Xiao Chun was in the basement of his room, so it wouldn't affect others, but it was different in the villa. The sound of banging suddenly attracted the attention of the Missy, who was watching TV outside. Cheng Minjing was disturbed by the sound of Xiao Chun. She directly pushed the door into Xiao Chun's room. When she saw Xiao Chun exercising, she couldn't help but be slightly surprised. She wanted to scold Xiao Chun for not disturbing her watching TV, but when she saw Xiao Chun exercising, Cheng Minjing couldn't help but feel sad. Now, Cheng Minjing finally understood why Xiao Chun had the strength to defeat Mongmen. It turned out that Xiao Chun was exercising in his spare time. Cheng Minjing was very familiar with this set of body movements, because Cheng Minjing had also practiced it. Seeing that Xiao Chun was very familiar with this set of body movements, Cheng Minjing understood how hard Xiao Chun worked when there was no one around. It wasn't his fault that he couldn't practice inner strength. He had been working hard and never gave up. Cheng Minjing thought, if I knew Xiao Chun was like this before, would I like him? Thinking of this, Cheng Minjing couldn't help but shake her head. There was no if. It was impossible for me and Xiao Chun. It was meaningless to think about these things. Did you exercise every day before? Cheng Minjing couldn't help but ask. That's all. Xiaochen smiled and said, I was sweating after drinking the medicine just now, so I exercised a little. Oh. Cheng Minjing didn't believe Xiaochen's words, but she didn't expose him. She probably guessed that Xiaochen wanted to be low-key, or Xiaochen cared more about his face. After practicing for so many years, it was really shameful that he couldn't practice inner strength. So the miss didn't say anything. She closed the door and sat back on the sofa in the living room. After a few days of getting along, Cheng Minjing's impression of Xiaochen had changed greatly. The Xiaochen that she saw next to her and the Xiaochen that she heard before seemed to be two different people. Cheng Minjing really couldn't imagine that Xiaochen could walk to and from school just to save money. It was also hard to imagine that Xiaochen actually haggled with the convenience store owner for an hour for a few cents. It was even harder to imagine that Xiaochen actually wanted to go to the morning market to sell breakfast. Shaking her head, Cheng Minjing didn't know who to believe was the real Xiaochen. But Cheng Minjing still understood the truth of seeing is believing. Rumors were rumors after all. What she saw was the truth. After continuously exercising for an hour, Xiaochen could feel the meridians all over his body were warm. The medicine had spread throughout his body, giving Xiaochen an indescribable warmth. He felt that his body seemed to be a lot lighter, and his meridians were more robust. What surprised Xiaochen the most was that on his body, there was a thick layer of sweat that looked like black oil, with a fishy smell. Could it be that this was the legendary bone marrow cleansing? In the past, Xiaochen had only heard of similar scenes in legends, but in his understanding, the people in his family didn't seem to use this kind of bone marrow cleansing to temper the body. Was it because they didn't know, or that martial artists didn't need to temper the body? These were things that Xiaochen didn't know. After all, he wasn't a martial artist. His understanding of martial artists was only superficial. He wasn't even a level 1 inner force martial artist. So he didn't understand the world of martial artists at all. Elder Heaven Ancestor, is this the waste excreted from my body? Xiaochen couldn't help but ask. Yes, it is. Now you can take a bath. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. This process, 3 days is a course of treatment, a total of 5 courses of treatment, and the first body tempering is completed. What you should think about now is how to make money to buy the remaining 4 sets of medicinal herbs. Thinking about the money to buy the medicinal herbs, Xiaochen was a little depressed. With the meager income from selling breakfast, it was extremely difficult to collect the full price of 50,000 yuan for 1 set of medicinal herbs. Even with a discount price of 10,000 yuan, it was extremely difficult. However, Xiaochen really didn't want to ask for it from Cheng Zhongming. Although he could ask for it, Xiaochen didn't want to reveal his purpose and strength too early. Moreover, there should be a lot of people watching Cheng Zhongming. At least the Cheng family wasn't a monolithic block. If Cheng Zhongming could make the decision, he wouldn't have been kicked out of the Xiao family. Therefore, he had to be careful. After taking a hot bath, Xiaochen lay on the bed to rest. Without completing the body tempering process, Xiaochen couldn't continue to cultivate. The 3rd level of the qi refinement stage was still far away, which made Xiaochen a little anxious. The current situation had reached a certain degree of urgency. If Xiaochen didn't have the strength to protect himself, it was very likely that he would die under the next wave of enemies' attack. Xiaochen rolled out of the bed in a daze until 3 o'clock in the morning. After a simple wash, he went out of the room and went to the kitchen. He filled the electric kettle with water, plugged it in, set it to boil, and then put the instant noodles into a lunchbox. After adding seasoning, Xiaochen remembered that Miss didn't like to eat dried vegetable buns, so he put it aside. After doing all this, Xiaochen braved the darkness, left the villa, and quickly ran in the direction of the morning market street. At this moment, there was no bus, and Xiaochen couldn't afford a taxi, so he could only walk. Fortunately, after entering the 2nd level of the qi refinement stage, Xiaochen's physical strength and endurance were much better than before. It should be known that a level 2 inner force warrior was not a joke. It was equivalent to the explosive force of an ordinary person, which was twice the explosive force of an ordinary person. At this moment, Xiao Chun was much stronger than Xiao Chun when he ran back from Songlong Mountain on foot. When Xiao Chun ran to the morning market street, it was close to 4 o'clock in the morning, and the sky was gradually getting brighter. On the morning market street, all kinds of peddlers began to set up their stalls. Some sold vegetables and fruits, some sold chicken, duck, fish, eggs, and miscellaneous small goods. There were also some swindlers who sold dog meat with sheep's heads, such as satellite receivers that could receive hundreds of TV stations, magical detergents, mosquito repellents, and dog scares. Soon in the stalls selling breakfast, Xiao Chun saw the chubby figure of Tang Tang. She was riding a tricycle alone, moving down the oil pan, gas tank, and noodle table from the tricycle one by one, and placing them in an open space. Xiao Chun quickly ran to help, and grabbed the gas tank from Tang Tang's hand. Xiao Chun? So early? Tang Tang was a little surprised to see Xiao Chun. She told Xiao Chun to come at 4 o'clock yesterday, but in fact, she wanted Xiao Chun to get up at 4 o'clock. She didn't expect that Xiao Chun had arrived before 4 o'clock. Thinking about the villa area where Xiao Chun lived, which was not close to here, he should get up at least at 3 o'clock. How did you get here? Jogging. Xiao Chun set up the gas tank, and helped Tang Tang set up the noodle table. He didn't know how to do other things, but he was good at manual work. Jogging. Tang Tang was a little shocked. She had thought that Xiao Chun's adaptability was strong enough, but she didn't expect that he could run to sell breakfast so early in the morning. Even she didn't have such perseverance, did she? I don't have a car, and I can't call a taxi. I can't earn enough money. Xiao Chun spread out his hands and said, "Don't look at me like that. I usually run back after school every night. I'm used to it, and I'll save as much as I can." Xiao Chun, I admire you a little now. You are a real man, Tang Tang said with a sigh. Puff. A real man? It sounds like the name of a health product. If you weren't my buddy, your words would really be misunderstood. Xiao Chun joked. In front of Tang Tang, Xiao Chun was very open and had no pressure. Haha, yes, we are buddies. Tang Tang nodded, pointed to the oil barrel in the car and said, "Help me pour the oil." Okay. Xiao Chun picked up the oil barrel with one arm and began to pour oil into the oil pan. The oil barrel was made of iron, and the soybean oil in it weighed 100 pounds. Xiao Chun lifted it with one arm without any effort, which made Tang Tang a little surprised. I didn't expect that your arm strength is so strong. If I said that I practiced on the plane, would you believe me? Xiao Chun laughed. Facing Cheng Minjing's photo, Tang Tang was really a tough woman. She could even answer such a question. Ahem. How is that possible? Xiao Chun coughed twice. It's better to show your photo. Your taste is really heavy. Tang Tang naturally didn't believe it. She pouted, but she wasn't angry. Chapter 49. After the oil pan was set up, it was preheated on the side. Tang Tang began to knead the dough skillfully, and then made the dough into the shape of fried dough sticks. She said to Xiao Chun, "Do you understand? The process of kneading the dough is not difficult. You learn it first. The main thing is the heat of frying. I'll do it. We'll talk about it when you're proficient." Okay. Xiao Chun was now a cultivator, and his 6 senses had been greatly improved. It was easy for him to remember Tang Tang's kneading steps. When Tang Tang began to fry the first batch of fried dough sticks, Xiao Chun began to knead the dough. At the beginning of kneading the dough, Xiao Chun tried his best to do it according to Tang Tang's method. But after Xiao Chun kneaded the dough a few times, he unexpectedly found that he seemed to have a spiritual communication with the dough in his hand. This situation was very mysterious. In short, Xiao Chun could feel the dough in his hand and how to knead it best. This made Xiao Chun shocked. He thought it was his illusion, but looking at the dough in his hand, it was more plump than Tang Tang's, and the shape of the fried dough sticks was also very uniform, which made Xiao Chun very surprised. Elder Heaven Ancestor, is this the ability of a cultivator? Xiao Chun recovered from his shock. He immediately thought of the fact that his 6 senses had been enhanced, so he quickly asked. Of course, but it's the first time I've seen someone cook with the ability of a cultivator. Elder Heaven Ancestor said teasingly. Cultivators are extremely high-end existences, who would have nothing to do to cook. I'm forced to do this. Xiaochun was thick-skinned. By the way, so I have a talent for cooking? It's not that you have a talent for cooking. It's that your ability to accept new things is much stronger than ordinary people. Because your six senses are strong, you can perceive the changes in food very well. And it's the same for other things. Elder Heaven Ancestor explained. I see. Xiaochun didn't think there was anything wrong with his cooking. On the contrary, he was quite happy. Originally, he thought he would have to learn for a few days before he could master it. After all, he had never done it before. But now it seemed that he could cook better than Tang Tang. Did you do this? Tang Tang looked at Xiaochun incredulously, her eyes almost popping out. Did you knead this dough? Did you make these deep-fried dough sticks? Yeah. Xiaochun nodded. Xiaochun, don't tell me that you used to be a stall owner. Tang Tang threw the fried dough sticks made by Xiaochun into the frying pan. The fried dough sticks were plump and uniform. Tang Tang's craftsmanship was good, but it was just practice makes perfect. Plus, she was more hardworking, so the fried dough sticks she made were the best-selling ones in the morning market. However, when Xiaochun's fried dough sticks came out of the frying pan, there were obviously more people waiting in line. There was no other reason. The deep-fried dough sticks were too tempting, and they looked good. Not only that, but Xiaochun's speed of making it was also fast. After all, Xiaochun was now equivalent to a second-level inner force warrior. His strength was greater than Tang Tang's, which greatly reduced the kneading time. Coupled with the perception of divine sense, Xiaochun avoided detours and repeated kneading steps when kneading the dough, so he had a great advantage in speed. Looking at Xiaochun's hands constantly producing deep-fried dough sticks, Tang Tang and her customers were shocked. Isn't this speed a little too fast? Xiaochun's speed was fast, and Tang Tang's speed was also fast. After all, Tang Tang's frying pan was relatively large. In the past, Tang Tang kneaded the dough and fried the deep-fried dough sticks by herself, so the speed was naturally slow. But today, Xiaochun kneaded the dough and Tang Tang fried the deep-fried dough sticks. The speed naturally increased, but even so it was still in short supply. It was true that today's deep-fried dough sticks were exceptionally good, but there was often a phenomenon in the market that the stall with more people would have more and more people. Everyone liked to join in the fun. When they saw that there was a queue for something, they would go to see what it was. This was also the reason why Tang Tang's breakfast stall had a long queue. Tang Tang originally held the idea of helping Xiaochun. Even if he couldn't help, he planned to give a part of the profit to Xiaochun. But now it seemed that it was a wise move to pull Xiaochun into the group. In just a short time, the number of deep-fried dough sticks sold was equivalent to the number of the usual morning. It was just that the deep-fried dough sticks needed to be leavened. Tang Tang didn't make so many noodles last night, so the leavened noodles she prepared were sold out quickly, and the customers were still queuing up. I'm sorry, everyone. The noodles are sold out. I will prepare more tomorrow. If you didn't buy it, you can come back tomorrow. Tang Tang saw that there were still so many people queuing up, so she quickly cupped her fist and said to these customers. These people saw that Tang Tang's breakfast stall was sold out. Although they were somewhat unwilling, they still went to other breakfast stalls. Tang Tang and Xiaochun had already begun to close the stall. Well done, Xiaochun. I didn't know that you have this kind of talent. Tang Tang was surprised and delighted. In the past, the leavened noodles she prepared every morning were usually sold out. The rest, in addition to the breakfast she brought for Xiaochun and Zheng Xiaoquan, were given to the old lady in a nearby grocery store, who helped her store the car and equipment. But she didn't expect that it was only 6 o'clock today, and everything was sold out. How much money did you make? Asked Xiaochun. Excluding the cost, I can make more than 200 yuan of profit. Today is the day with the most profit. In the past, it was good to make 150 yuan. Tang Tang's face was full of satisfaction. Looking at her, it seemed that she was not the fair, rich and beautiful girl she used to be. Haha, not bad. Xiaochun was not like the previous Xiaochun, who was happy to make money. He also knew that some things couldn't be rushed. At present, he could make as much money as he could. It was useless to be anxious. Xiaochun helped Tang Tang to ride the tricycle, and Tang Tang sat in the back of the car. It was quite like those couples on the street. Generally, The couples who did small business were this combination. The husband pedaled in front, and the wife sat in the car. They went to the stall together, and closed the stall together. When they came to the grocery store where Tang Tang usually stored the tricycle and equipment, the old lady of the grocery store had just opened. Seeing Tang Tang, she smiled and greeted her. Tang Tang, why did you close the stall so early today? Today there is one more person, so the sale is faster. It was sold out at 6 o'clock. Tang Tang pointed to Xiao Chun and said, But there is no more left, Auntie. There is no more left for you. Haha, it doesn't matter. I'm alone and can't eat much. If you give me some, I'll steam some steamed buns to eat. If not, I'll eat something else. I can't even use the money I earned from the grocery store. That's right. The auntie waved her hand and said with a smile, I'm happy that you can earn more money. Seeing a girl like you setting up a stall early in the morning, I'm heartbroken. Now that you have a boyfriend, I can help you. Ahi, Tang Tang, a girl, was a little shy because of the old lady's words. When she was about to explain, the old lady continued. Young man, Tang Tang is a good girl. Although she is a little fat, she is honest, knows how to live, and can bear hardships. The old lady turned to Xiao Chun and said earnestly, She is not like those gold diggers in society. She is good-looking, but she always begs to be friends with rich people. If she wants a boyfriend, she will find a tall, rich, and handsome man. How can she live? Xiao Chun listened to the old lady's words, and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect the old lady to be so fashionable. She knew everything about rich people and tall, rich, and handsome men. She was really fashionable. Xiao Chun wanted to explain, but he was afraid that if he said it, Tang Tang's self-esteem couldn't stand it. So he nodded and said, Auntie, I know. This old lady is nagging again. Well, you have to go to school, right? I won't delay you. Go ahead. The old lady waved her hand and said to Xiao Chun and Tang Tang. They said goodbye to the old lady and went out of the grocery store. Tang Tang said, Xiao Chun, I'm a nagging person. Don't take it to heart. It's okay. Aren't we good buddies? It doesn't matter. Xiao Chun smiled. That's true. I'm being unreasonable. Let's go to school. Tang Tang glanced at Xiao Chun and asked, Do you want to take the bus? Do you usually take the bus? Xiao Chun asked. It's only one stop away from the school. It's not too far. I walk there, Tang Tang said. Seeing that you are also a fan of the 11th route, let's go together. 11th route? Xiao Chun was stunned. 2 ones. Isn't it similar to 2 legs? It's the 11th route. Tang Tang smiled and said, Haven't you heard of it? This metaphor is quite high-end. It's the first time I've heard of it. Xiao Chun used to drive himself, or have a driver to go to school. He had never passed by the 11th route. The two walked to the school together. It was still early. However, just as they entered the school gate, Tang Tang suddenly stopped. Ah, I forgot to leave you some breakfast. You haven't eaten yet? Didn't you not eat either? Xiao Chun indeed didn't eat. There were so many people in line. He was embarrassed to leave a portion for himself. I'll consider it as losing weight. But with your appetite, if you don't eat, won't you starve to death at noon? Tang Tang looked at Xiao Chun and said, I'll buy you a few steamed buns. No, I'm not very hungry today. Xiao Chun found that when he didn't cultivate, the need for food was not as strong as before. He didn't cultivate yesterday, so he wasn't hungry at the moment. It was just that he was busy in the morning, so his stomach was a little empty. Why don't we be extravagant for once? Buy a bag of milk and a bread to eat Western food. Tang Tang thought about the money she earned today. She was a little happy, so she joked. She didn't wait for Xiao Chun to speak. She took Xiao Chun's hand and ran to the small supermarket near the school. Xiao Chun was slightly stunned. In fact, with his strength he could easily get rid of it. But it might be because the person holding him was Tang Tang. He didn't guard against it. If he was pulled by another girl, Xiao Chun would be very uncomfortable. Although he used to be a playboy, it was only on the surface. It was just for survival. When did he hold a girl's hand? Chapter 50. Don't forget the recommendation votes and bookmarks. Thank you, dear readers who have tipped me. When Tang Tang ran away, dragging Xiao Chun's hand, 2 cars happened to be parked at the gate of the school. One of them was Jean Bebe's beetle. The lady was sitting inside with an awful look on her face. Although she had known that Xiao Chun had gone to sell breakfast with Tang Tang, she was still rather upset to see the two of them holding hands. It had only been a few days, and he was already hooking up with Tang Tang? Holy sh*t. Cousin Minjing, has my cousin-in-law fallen in love with someone else? Looking at Xiao Chun and Tang Tang, Jean Bebe bulged her eyes. However, my brother-in-law's taste is rather strong. This is not the Tang dynasty, is it? I haven't traveled through time, have I? Bebe. Cheng Minjing's face was gloomy. She turned around and glared at Jean Bebe with a murderous look. Shut up. Nobody will think that you are a mute. Well, Cousin Minjing, it seems that you still care about my brother-in-law. Then, you'll have to work harder. I think you have more advantages than Tang Tang. Jean Bebe said. Even if Tang Tang used to be the most beautiful girl in number 2 high school, it's all in the past now. When my brother-in-law is king her in bed, it's not like he can paste a picture of the past on her face. Cousin Minjing, you don't have to. Cough cough. Ouch ouch. Cousin Minjing is murdering her own sister. Jean Bebe's neck was choked by Cheng Minjing and was shaking back and forth. She almost passed out because of the choking. One more word and I'll strangle you. Cheng Minjing said angrily. What do I care? I just think that the boy should be a good servant as a servant. What's wrong with him flirting with girls? I don't want to get involved. I'm scared of being strangled. Jean Bebe acted as if it were none of her business. Bebe, do you want to be beaten? Cheng Minjing was so infuriated by Jean Bebe's words that her head was dizzy. You don't talk when you should talk, and you talk when you shouldn't. You are doing this on purpose, aren't you? How is it possible? Jean Bebe stuck out her tongue. Cousin Minjing, what do you want me to say? Nothing. Cheng Minjing really didn't know what to say. Thinking about it, although Xiao Chun was her servant, she didn't give him a salary. It was reasonable for him to go out and work to earn money. Thinking of this, Cheng Minjing didn't want to blame Xiao Chun. She just said faintly, let's go to class. In the other car, the person sitting was Yu Xiaochuan. He was a smart person and did not act impulsively. Although he promised Lu Jinming that he would teach Xiao Chun a lesson yesterday, he did not do it immediately. Instead, he was waiting for a suitable opportunity. At this moment, seeing Tang Tang holding Xiao Chun's hand and running, he couldn't help but frown. If it was any other time, he would have thanked Xiao Chun. Although the Yu family publicly broke off the engagement, the Tang family didn't admit it publicly. They just acquiesced in it. If they really wanted to take it seriously, Tang Tang was still Yu Xiaochuan's fiancé. Now that Xiao Chun was holding Tang Tang's hand and running away, the engagement would definitely fall apart after this matter was spread out. Yu Xiaochuan could also completely get rid of this burden. But now, he still had to find a reason to deal with Xiao Chun. But this reason must not be Tang Tang. He couldn't wait to get rid of Tang Tang. How could he stand up for her? Obviously, it was impossible. Tang Tang took Xiao Chun to the small supermarket at the school gate. Looking at the dazzling variety of food, Xiao Chun didn't stop. He just took the cheapest and largest bread from the shelf, and then picked a cheap bag of milk. He said to Tang Tang, "Okay, that's all." Tang Tang naturally saw the price of the things Xiao Chun took, but she didn't say anything. Instead, she felt very gratified. After Xiao Chun left the family, he no longer had the temper of a young master, which made Tang Tang feel that Xiao Chun was really good. Tang Tang also took the same things, and then paid the bill. She left the small supermarket with Xiao Chun. Of course, when they left, they didn't hold hands. Although Tang Tang was a tough woman, she was also embarrassed. When the two walked into the classroom, Zheng Xiaoquan also arrived at this time. Seeing Tang Tang and Xiao Chun holding bread and milk, he couldn't help but be a little surprised. "Where's the soybean milk in Youtiao? Did you change to selling foreign fast food? Change to bread and milk?" Xiao Chun is very good. He kneaded the dough super fast, and the youtiao was sold quickly, so there was nothing left today. We could only buy food for ourselves, Tang Tang said. But fortunately, we earned nearly 100 yuan more than usual. No way. Is this for real? Xiao Chun, when you were in your hometown, you didn't start out selling breakfast, did you? Zheng Xiaoquan knew Tang Tang's sales situation. She sold 100 yuan more than usual, which meant that all the noodles she prepared had to be sold. Xiao Chun became a skilled worker on the first day. You really guessed it. I used to sell breakfast in my hometown, Xiao Chun said casually. He naturally couldn't explain the identity of a cultivator and Xiao Chun. Wow, no wonder Tang Tang asked you to go. Zheng Xiaoquan really believed it and said with some envy. Before, Xiao Chun couldn't feel anything, but now, Xiao Chun's sixth senses had been greatly improved. He suddenly detected a trace of envy and jealousy from Zheng Xiaoquan's tone, which made Xiao Chun a little surprised. Could it be Zheng Xiaoquan liked Tang Tang? Thinking of this, Xiao Chun suddenly realized that no wonder Zheng Xiaoquan would stand up for him. It turned out that he liked Tang Tang. Tang Tang stood on his side, so he had to do so. However, Xiao Chun could see that there was no love lost. Zheng Xiaoquan liked Tang Tang, but Tang Tang didn't like Zheng Xiaoquan. These two people basically had no chance. Otherwise, if they wanted to have feelings, they would have had it long ago. They wouldn't have waited until now. However, Tang Tang looked at Xiao Chun with a strange look. This guy used to be the young master of the Xiao family. He went to make breakfast. Who would believe it? Not to mention selling breakfast. I'm afraid he didn't even make breakfast at home. However, it was precisely because of this that Tang Tang admired Xiao Chun very much. This was a real man. He was flexible and could quickly adapt to the environment instead of being defeated by the environment. You can go if you want. Our youtiao is in short supply now, and we are short of manpower. Xiao Chun laughed. I also want to, but I have to do morning exercises in the morning. If my dad knew I went to sell youtiao, he would throw me into the oil pan and fry me. Zheng Xiaoquan shook his head. He was not an impulsive person. Even if he stood up for Lin Yi, it was entirely because of Tang Tang. Lu Zhiming walked into the classroom with the skinny monkey. He glanced at Xiao Chun, who was talking happily with Tang Tang and Zheng Xiaoquan, and snorted coldly. Brother Ming, let him be cocky for 2 days. When you settle the young miss of the Chung family, killing a country bumpkin will be like playing with a toy. The skinny monkey saw through Lu Zhiming's thoughts, so he said, That's also true. Business is more important. There's no problem with the steel window, right? Lu Zhiming nodded and asked, No problem. Tonight, the steel window is the leader, and there are a few punks. They are real punks in the society, but they have nothing to do with the Lu family. They are from another city. Teacher Lei helped to find them. Each of them has the strength level close to a level 1 warrior. The skinny monkey said, That's good. A satisfied smile appeared on Lu Zhiming's face. Chung Minjing was not a girl from an ordinary family. She was the young miss of the Chung family. The Chung family was an ancient martial arts family. They must have practiced internal force. Even if they did not have much strength, they must have practiced. If they brought a group of small fries, they might be killed by the young miss herself. Especially with the little witch Jean Bebe by her side. Lu Zhiming couldn't estimate the strength of that little witch. If she could fight a little, those punks would not be a match for the two of them. So to be on the safe side, Lu Zhiming found Lei Dianfeng and hired some people from another city who had the strength close to the first level of internal force. In this way it would be more real. Lu Zhiming's strength was also close to the first level of internal force. If he fought with them, he would definitely not gain the upper hand directly. He would suffer a little, and then win by a narrow margin. The more it was like this, the more moved Miss Chung would be. Otherwise, it would be settled quickly. Except that she would admire Lu Zhiming at that time. Chung Minjing would definitely not be too grateful to him later. However, if he won by a narrow margin, and was injured in the battle, it was impossible for Chung Minjing not to visit Lu Zhiming afterward. As time went by, their relationship would be revealed. Chung Minjing sat in her seat, and Jean Bebe was talking to her in a low voice. However, it was obvious that Chung Minjing was not in a good mood. She chatted with Jean Bebe on and off. Chung Minjing's eyes glanced at Xiao Chun now and then. Seeing that Xiao Chun was holding the cheapest bread and milk in his hands, she had complicated feelings. The grudge against Xiao Chun in her heart had faded away too. If he had not pursued Xin Jingxian and Ke Lin right in front of her, Chung Minjing might have a better impression of him right now. Wouldn't she? However, thinking of what Xiao Chun had done in the past, Chung Minjing felt that Xiao Chun deserved it. If you had been nicer and more attentive to me before, how could I turn a blind eye to you now that you are down and out? Even if I might not buy you the most expensive bread and milk, I would at least get you a meal card for the school cafeteria. Wouldn't I? When the class was about to begin, Miss Wang, the homeroom teacher, walked into the classroom. She turned around and looked at Zheng Xiaoquan, saying, "Zheng Xiaoquan, take a few classmates and go to the reference room with me to fetch the review materials for the sprint in the 3rd year." After the 3rd year of high school, it would be the college entrance examination. Therefore, there would be a lot of review materials. As the sports committee member of the class, Zheng Xiaoquan naturally had to bear the brunt of the labor. Xiao Chun Lu Jinming, Shouho Chun Skinny Monkey, XX Zhang, XX Li, come with me. Zheng Xiaoquan stood up and called a few names. He had seen through Xiao Chen's physical strength. He was still in the hospital after beating Ma Gang men. As for Lu Jinming and Skinny Monkey, they were always jumping up and down energetically when they were not carrying books. Now that Zheng Xiaoquan had received Miss Wang's instruction, he naturally would not let them go. The rest of them were the more energetic, warm-hearted boys. Usually they would be the ones to do such work. Chapter 51. Lu Jinming wasn't surprised at all. This wasn't the first or second time. He and Zheng Xiaoquan didn't get along well, and Zheng Xiaoquan used his position to avenge his personal grudges. Lu Jinming just treated it as a workout. However, he didn't have much conflict with Zheng Xiaoquan before. Now it was different. Lu Jinming felt awkward with Xiao Chun. He didn't know if Yu Xiaochuan had thought of a way to teach Xiao Chun a lesson. There were a lot of books this time. Even though there were a lot of people in Class 1, they still had to make 2 trips to and fro to get all the books back. On average, each student had to share at least 10 review materials. After distributing the materials, the day's class officially began. During class, Tang Tang saw Xiao Chun reading the study materials attentively. She couldn't help but be a little curious. "Xiao Chun, why aren't you paying attention in class? Why are you reading the review materials for grade 1? "I haven't studied before, so I'm starting from scratch." Xiao Chun smiled bitterly. In the past, his image in school was that of a playboy. It would be strange if he studied every day. In fact, Xiao Chun would rather cultivate his inner force if he had the time. He didn't have the mind to study at all. But now it was different. Without a family, he could only rely on himself. The second high school was the same as the first high school. In every exam, the top 10 students in the grade would have different levels of scholarships. The first place could even get up to 10,000 yuan. Although 10,000 yuan was nothing in Xiao Chen's eyes before, it was different now. 10,000 yuan was equivalent to a body refining medicine. Xiao Chen needed it very much. Now Xiao Chen relied on selling breakfast to make ends meet. If he wanted to buy medicine, he had to find another way. The exams for grade 3 were also the most. There were monthly exams, high school entrance exams, final exams, mock exams, and all kinds of exams. Every exam had a reward. This was also one of the strategies of the school to encourage students to study hard, so that the top students could constantly improve themselves and surpass themselves. Fortunately, in the final entrance exam, they could fight for the first place in the city, province, or even the whole country. Puff. No way. You're starting from grade 1? Are you sure you can study by yourself? Tang Tang saw that Xiao Chun was seriously reading the first chapter of algebra, set. She suddenly didn't know what to say. It seemed that Xiao Chun really knew nothing. "Yes, I heard that the first place will get a scholarship of 10,000 yuan. Xiao Chun nodded. "You want the 10,000 yuan? Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Tang Tang was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. "I say, Xiao Chun, my results are good enough, but I dare not think about the 10,000 yuan for the first place. This is the goal of the top student." "Huh, how would you know if you don't try?" Xiao Chun smiled and didn't say anything. In fact, he was a cultivator now. According to the Elder Heaven ancestor, he had an extraordinary ability to accept new things. Since it was like this for making deep-fried dough sticks, shouldn't it be the same for learning? Well, if there's anything you don't know, just ask me. At least I'm still a stable candidate for the top 10. Tang Tang looked defeated by Xiao Chun. Okay. Xiao Chun nodded and didn't hesitate. Great. I don't understand this question very well. Can you help me explain it? Okay. Tang Tang didn't refuse. She thought, let's take a look. What kind of problem can there be in the first chapter? He's already encountered difficulties, and he still wants to be first? However, she didn't want to hurt Xiao Chun's self-confidence, so she didn't say much. She just picked up Xiao Chun's question and glanced at it. Then she was slightly stunned and said, actually, this question is beyond the syllabus. It uses the knowledge in the third chapter. After you finish the third chapter, you can easily solve it. The third chapter is like this. As Tang Tang spoke, she intended to briefly explain the content of the third chapter to Xiao Chun. However, Xiao Chun suddenly understood and waved his hand. He interrupted, so that's how it is. Then, I'll finish reading the algebra for the first grade first, and then I'll do the question. It's up to you. Tang Tang saw that Xiao Chun didn't need her to explain anymore, so she didn't force him. In her opinion, Xiao Chun was at the moment when his self-confidence was inflated. It was not good to hurt him too much. When he really encountered difficulties, he would know how difficult it was to learn. For the whole morning, Xiao Chun was flipping through the algebra book quickly. Tang Tang couldn't understand why Xiao Chun could read so fast. How many definitions and formulas did he remember? During the lunch break, Xiao Chun was still reading. Tang Tang was a little helpless and had to call him. Hey Xiao Chun, do you want lunch? Ah, it's already noon. Xiao Chun was slightly stunned. He came back to reality from the book and found that time passed quickly. Just like when he was cultivating. A few hours had passed in the blink of an eye. Yeah, straight-A student Xiao. Even if you don't want to eat, I still want to eat. Tang Tang shrugged. Because it was a seat on the side, Tang Tang couldn't get out without going through Xiao Chun. Sorry, I'm too engrossed. Xiao Chun closed the textbook, shook his head and said, let's go. I'll treat you at noon. Are we going to have a steamed bun buffet again? Tang Tang laughed. How is that possible? I made so much money this morning. Of course I have to eat something good. Let's go to the cafeteria. Xiao Chun had thought of another way to make money, which was to take the exam. After reading the book for the whole morning, Xiao Chun had confirmed the words of the elder heaven ancestor. Cultivators were really a very awesome profession. He had a photographic memory. Everything in the textbook seemed to be imprinted in his mind after reading it once. Of course, that was not all. What surprised Xiao Chun most was that he could skillfully use the definitions and formulas in the book. This was probably the acceptance ability of cultivators. Okay, anyway, half of it is yours. Let's go to the cafeteria at noon to celebrate our happy cooperation with the breakfast stall. Tang Tang wanted to say that going to the cafeteria was a bit extravagant, but after thinking about it, half of the money was Xiao Chen's. Naturally, she couldn't refuse Xiao Chen's face. The two walked into the cafeteria and went all the way to the second floor. The first floor was the public cafeteria, where they couldn't order food. They could only buy ready-made dishes from various windows. The second floor was similar to a restaurant for rich students to order food. Tang Tang had been here before, but since she became seriously ill and became like this, she had broken away from her family. She had never been here again. For a moment, she was filled with emotion. Unexpectedly, she came here again with the young master of the Xiao family, Xiao Chun. Before, Zheng Xiaoquan had invited Tang Tang, but she didn't agree. Turning her head, Tang Tang found that Xiao Chun had chosen a table. It was a bright table with a good position near the window. Seeing Xiao Chun sit down, Tang Tang smiled bitterly. This was the table where Yu Xiaochuan invited her to dinner 2 years ago. In the past, although Tang Tang didn't have any feelings for Yu Xiaochuan, she also knew that the marriage fate of the children of aristocratic families was not up to one's own choice. Yu Xiaochuan was gentle and didn't have any scandals at school. So when he invited Tang Tang to dinner, Tang Tang couldn't refuse him. But later, Tang Tang became seriously ill and became like this. Yu Xiaochuan didn't even talk to her anymore. The engagement was in name only. After thinking about it, Tang Tang still chose to sit down. She and Yu Xiaochuan didn't fall in love, so she didn't avoid too much. She just felt a little emotional. The waiter brought the menu, and Xiao Chun handed it directly to Tang Tang. Tang Tang didn't order 2 expensive dishes. Instead, she randomly ordered 3 home-cooked dishes and 2 bowls of rice. Then she asked the waiter to serve the dishes. After ordering, Tang Tang went to the bathroom. She was so suffocated in the morning that she almost wet her pants. But seeing Xiao Chen's concentrated look, she wanted to go out several times, but she held back. "Kid, don't you know this is the seat of the young master of our group? Are you blind? How dare you sit here?" When Xiao Chun was thinking about the algebraic formula he read before, suddenly a voice sounded. Xiao Chun was slightly stunned. He turned his head and saw a boy of medium height. He was dressed sleekly. At first glance, he knew he was the son of a rich family. But this kind of son of a rich family couldn't enter Xiao Chun's eyes in the past. He could only be an errand boy. Of course, this person in front of him seemed to be an errand boy for some group's young master. "Do you have eyes on your ass? What's wrong with me sitting here? Is there a problem? Director Su just asked me to sit here." Xiao Chun just came to second middle school, and he didn't want to offend anyone. But he wouldn't give up his seat because of a few words from this guy. After all, this was the first time he treated a girl to a meal alone. Although it was a buddy, Xiao Chun didn't want to lose face. "Director Su?" Lang Shirching was stunned. He didn't expect Xiao Chun to bring up the school's teaching director, Director Su. He was Yu Xiaochuan's underling. These 2 days, Yu Xiaochuan had been talking about finding a way to teach Xiao Chun a lesson. As Yu Xiaochuan's underling, Lang Shirching naturally had to share his boss's worries. Lang Shirching came to the cafeteria for lunch. He saw that Yu Xiaochuan's special table was occupied, so he immediately rushed over to chase the person away. As a result, he saw that it was Xiao Chun, and he was overjoyed. This was like a dozing pillow. However, Yu Xiaochuan, who was following behind, frowned. Although he really wanted to teach Linny a lesson, he was a hypocrite. Everything he did needed to be justified. Although this table in the school, everyone recognized that it was Yu Xiaochuan's special table. The problem was that the school didn't put a sign on the table that said, Yu Xiaochuan's special. So in theory this table was still for the school's use. Yu Xiaochuan didn't want to use this reason to find trouble with Xiao Chun. He didn't want to destroy his perfect image for an insignificant person. However, the underling had already stepped forward. As the boss, he could only follow. However, he said politely, "Classmate, I usually sit here, and I'm used to it. Why don't you change your seat and go to the side? Anyway, the dishes haven't been served yet. This meal is on me. It's my treat." Chapter 52. Young Master Kun. This. Lang Shirching was a little puzzled. Didn't Yu Xiaochuan want to teach Xiao Chun a lesson? Why did he talk to him politely? Did he want to trick Xiao Chun in other ways? For example, let Xiao Chun mistakenly think that Yu Xiaochuan was going to treat him. So he ordered a table of delicacies. In the end, he didn't treat Xiao Chun and asked him to pay the bill himself. However, Lu Zhiming had used this trick before, and it had failed. Yu Xiaochuan waved his hand and stopped Lang Shirching from continuing. Then he said to Xiao Chun, "What do you think, classmate?" "Yu Xiaochuan, I didn't know that you are so nostalgic. Are you used to sitting at the table? Then fiancé, do you have any nostalgia?" Tang Tang saw what happened here from a distance. She quickly ran over and directly fired at Yu Xiaochuan. Yu Xiaochuan was slightly stunned. He turned his head and saw Tang Tang sitting leisurely in front of Xiao Chun. His expression couldn't help but slightly change, but it quickly returned to normal. His originally gloomy face instantly turned into a smile. He said, "Congratulations, Tang Tang. You found your happiness again. Our things are all in the past. Don't mention it." Yu Xiaochuan easily and skillfully avoided Tang Tang's questioning about nostalgia. Instead, he took this opportunity to thoroughly express his attitude. That was to say, this was equivalent to him personally catching Tang Tang in the act of cheating on him. It was completely reasonable for him to divorce Tang Tang. Tang Tang could not pester Yu Xiaochuan because of this in the future. This was a matter of the face of the aristocratic family. Tang Tang naturally understood Yu Xiaochuan's meaning. She sneered, "Yes, Xiao Chun is my boyfriend. He is very good to me. Congratulations. Won't you treat me?" "Of course I'll treat you. I just said that this meal is on me. What do you want to eat? Just order. Yu Xiaochuan said with a faint smile. Xiao Chun, let's have some lobster and abalone, and then take it away. Tang Tang took the menu without hesitation. Yu Xiaochuan smiled indifferently. This amount of money was just a drop in the bucket for him. Taking advantage of today's opportunity, he completely severed his relationship with Tang Tang, which made him very happy. In fact, in the past 2 years, Yu Xiaochuan had been trying to get hold of Tang Tang's weakness all the time. Unfortunately, Tang Tang did not give him the chance at all, and she was not too intimate with boys. Originally, Yu Xiaochuan had pinned his hopes on Zheng Xiaoquan, but Tang Tang never gave Zheng Xiaoquan a chance, which made Yu Xiaochuan very disappointed. He did not expect that Tang Tang would be so intimate with a bumpkin from the countryside. Yu Xiaochuan found it hard to understand what kind of taste Tang Tang had. Even if she had grown into a pig, she must have been the daughter of an aristocratic family, right? Is that how you look at me? However, it had nothing to do with him. It didn't matter who Tang Tang looked for, as long as his purpose was achieved. Hearing that the other party was Yu Xiaochuan, Xiao Chun was not polite at all. He directly called the waiter and ordered a lot of lobster, abalone, sea cucumber and king crab. Anyway, if he couldn't finish it, he could take it away. Since there was a rich guy treating, it would be a waste not to eat. Xiao Chun even brought out his dinner with the eldest young mistress. Recently, the eldest young mistress had not eaten much in the morning and night. Other than instant noodles, she only had instant noodles. Xiao Chun felt a little bad. Hearing that Xiao Chun was going to bring out the dinner, Tang Tang sighed slightly. It seemed that in Xiao Chun's heart, Cheng Minjing was always his goddess, and she was irreplaceable. He had been reduced to Cheng Minjing's servant, but he still wanted to please her. Tang Tang did not know what to say. When Tang Tang and Xiao Chun went out of the cafeteria with a lot of bags, Yu Xiaochuan threw a card to the waiter and asked her to pay the bill. This money was a piece of cake for Yu Xiaochuan. He was the eldest grandson of the Yu family, and also the only grandson of the first wife. The entire Yu family's money could be used by him. Young Master Kun, don't you want to teach that Xiao Chun a lesson? Why did you invite him to a big meal again? Lang Shiqing did not understand. This reason is too bad. At most, I can only let him change the table. If I don't let him go, it's not my style. Yu Xiaochuan said faintly. Moreover, it's very cost-effective to use this matter to end the matter with Tang Tang. I see. Young Master Kun is a gentleman, so he doesn't care about them. Otherwise, if it were Lu Zhenming, he would directly grab the chair. Lang Shiqing was Yu Xiaochuan's follower since middle school. He knew Yu Xiaochuan's hypocritical character, but he did not dare to say it, so he could only flatter him. Yu Xiaochuan smiled faintly, and did not take it seriously. He thought in his heart that after today's matter, he could no longer teach Xiao Chun a lesson blatantly. Otherwise, others would see it and think that he was jealous of Tang Tang, which was not his original intention. Unexpectedly, a sudden incident at noon made Yu Xiaochuan have a headache. But there was also a gain. There must be a loss. That hypocrite just now is Yu Buchuan? Xiao Chun carried a lot of food and said happily. Not only did he not spend a penny for lunch, but he also brought back a lot of food. His name is Yu Xiaochuan, not Yu Buchuan. Tang Tang glared at Xiao Chun. Do you know him? I've heard of him, but he and I are not the same kind of people. I didn't have much contact with him before. If it weren't for his name being similar to Yu Buchuan's, I wouldn't remember his name at all. Xiao Chun said. Today's matter will probably be spread by Yu Xiaochuan soon. He doesn't know who you are, but your Xiao family and the Cheng family all know. Tang Tang hesitated for a moment and said apologetically, I said that you are my boyfriend. It was just a momentary impulse, but it may bring you some trouble. What trouble? I hang out with you every day. Trouble can't be avoided. These are small problems. Xiao Chun did not care. In his opinion, the closer he was to Tang Tang, the more the Cheng family would be at ease and feel that he and Cheng Minjing would not fall in love with each other for a long time. Maybe I'm thinking too much. We are both abandoned by our families. I guess they will just treat it as a joke if they know. Tang Tang saw that Xiao Chun was free and easy, so she did not dwell on these things anymore. When Cheng Minjing and Jean Bebe walked out of the cafeteria, they happened to see Xiao Chun and Tang Tang walking in front of them, talking and laughing with big and small bags. Cheng Minjing gritted her teeth. She was about to throw away the lunchbox in her hand. "I'm so angry. I thought you were so pitiful to eat instant noodles and steamed buns every day, so I packed 2 dishes for you to eat at home. But you and Tang Tang went out to eat and drink, and you brought so much back? Are you selling breakfast in the morning?" "It seems that my cousin-in-law has food," Jean Bebe said. "I packed them for myself for dinner. He didn't get any. I haven't eaten meat for several days, and I can eat a lot." Cheng Minjing thought it was better not to throw them away. After all, she also needed to eat at night. When they returned to the classroom, Zheng Xiaoquan happened to go home for dinner. Seeing Xiao Chun and Tang Tang walk into the classroom with several lunchboxes, he was stunned. "Hey, is someone treating us again today? Did I miss something?" According to Zheng Xiaoquan's understanding, Tang Tang was a stingy girl, and Xiao Chun was poor. How could they spend money on a big meal? It was impossible. There could only be one result: someone was treating them. "A psycho named Yu Xiaochuan is treating us, so we ordered more." Xiao Chun handed the lunchbox to Zheng Xiaoquan and said, "Here you are. We'll finish the rest before the evening class." "Yu Xiaochuan? He invited you to dinner?" Zheng Xiaoquan took the lunchbox, and his expression changed slightly. He was not as excited as he had been when he saw the food. He turned to Tang Tang and asked, "Yu Xiaochuan, why did he invite you?" "Nothing. He said he wanted to congratulate me on finding a new boyfriend. So he invited me to dinner," Tang Tang said lightly. "New boyfriend? When did you get a boyfriend?" Zheng Xiaoquan's expression was stagnant, and he was a little unnatural. "It's Xiao Chun. Yu Xiaochuan misunderstood, and I didn't explain." Tang Tang waved her hand and said, "He's just making an excuse to cut all ties with me. It doesn't matter. I know he's been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. He just happened to see me with Xiao Chun today." "I see." Zheng Xiaoquan suddenly breathed a sigh of relief and nodded. He said, "But this is also a good thing. Yu Xiaochuan is a hypocrite. Just looking at him makes me angry. By the way, does Xiao Chun know about your relationship?" "Yes, I told him." Tang Tang nodded, but she didn't say much. Zheng Xiaoquan didn't know if Xiao Chun knew about Tang Tang's past. Since Yu Xiaochuan was paying for it, Zheng Xiaoquan didn't hesitate. He grabbed 2 lobsters and ate them, while Xiao Chun continued to read. After finishing the last few chapters of the first-grade algebra, he began to work on the exercises. Sure enough, Xiao Chun found that these exercises were all handy when he went back to do them. Some of the questions were indeed beyond the syllabus and the knowledge points of the corresponding chapters, but Xiao Chun had read the entire first-grade algebra book. So as long as it was first-grade algebra, Xiao Chun could easily solve it. In the afternoon, Tang Tang saw Xiao Chun scribbling on the exercise book. His speed was faster than a celebrity signing a book. Before the evening class, Xiao Chun finally put down the pen in his hand and put down the exercise book. "Are you doing the exercises or scribbling?" Tang Tang found it hard to comprehend that Xiao Chun had finished an exercise book from beginning to end in just one afternoon. "Of course I'm doing the exercises, but I haven't checked if it's right or wrong." Although Xiao Chun felt that he shouldn't make mistakes, it was better to check the answers. "Let me check it for you." Tang Tang really didn't believe that Xiao Chun could self-study first-grade algebra in one day and finish the exercise book. If that was the case, then the genius should go to hell. Okay. Xiao Chun just wanted to take a breath. After returning to reality from the sea of exercises, Xiao Chun felt as if it was a lifetime ago. The previous Xiao Chun definitely couldn't make money in this way, right? However, the current Xiao Chun was truly at his wit's end. Tang Tang took Xiao Chun's exercise book and then compared the answers. Meanwhile, Xiao Chun took out the lunch from under the desk and placed it on the table one by one. Zheng Xiaoquan just went to buy drinks and came back. Chapter 53. Since you are treating me, I have to show my appreciation. Although the drink isn't much, it's a token of my appreciation. Obviously, Zheng Xiaoquan was also poor and didn't have much pocket money. As he spoke, he suddenly saw Tang Tang reading the exercise book. He couldn't help but wonder, Tang Tang, what are you doing? The exercise book was just distributed today. Don't tell me you started to do it. It's not me. It's the top student Xiaochen. He has finished the first grade algebra exercise book. Tang Tang didn't know what to say at the moment. What could be used to describe her mood at the moment? Shock. Shock. Anger? Shocked to death. Not only did Xiaochen finish it, but the accuracy rate actually reached 100%. At least, Tang Tang had checked the exercise questions for 5 chapters and hadn't found any mistakes. It was completely correct. If Tang Tang didn't see Xiaochen writing and drawing on the exercise book, she would even think that Xiaochen copied the answers. Because for many calculation questions, Xiaochen omitted the steps and wrote the answers directly. However, Xiaochen obviously didn't copy it. It must be the result of mental calculation. Damn, you finished it? Zheng Xiaoquan also looked at Xiaochen as if he was looking at a monster. Sure enough, I said that it's not easy to enter the second high school. First, you don't have money, and second, it doesn't matter. You must rely on real talent. Xiaochen shrugged his shoulders. He thought to himself, true talent, my ass. Before today, I didn't even know what assembly was. Now you call it true talent. However, Xiaochen didn't explain much. This kind of thing couldn't be explained clearly to Zheng Xiaoquan. Tang Tang probably knew most of his secrets, but Xiaochen trusted her a lot. He always felt that Tang Tang was a girl who was worth befriending. I finally found a mistake. Wahahaha! Tang Tang suddenly exclaimed with joy, as if she had discovered a new continent. This made Zheng Xiaoquan and Xiaochen a little speechless. What's the fuss about finding a mistake? Xiaochen, you're not omnipotent. You're also at fault. As Tang Tang spoke, she proudly pointed at the question that did not match the answer and said to Xiaochen, do you need me to tell you? All right. Xiaochen felt a little strange. Even though he wrote these questions quickly, he had to go through 2 calculations in his head before writing the results. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any mistakes, so Xiaochen was not ashamed to ask. This question should be like this, like this, like this. The result will be out. How could it be wrong? The same result as yours? Tang Tang demonstrated the question to Xiaochen, and the answer was exactly the same as Xiaochen's, which made Tang Tang feel a little strange. I was expecting the same result. The reference answer might have been printed incorrectly, Zheng Xiaoquan said. Puff. Tang Tang was speechless. Top student Xiao, I'm convinced. Top student Xiao? This name is not very good, Xiaochen said with a bitter face. Why? Tang Tang felt a little strange. I've been reading a biography recently. It's called Campus Belle's Bodyguard. There's a character called Xiao Wangba, who was abused, Xiaochen said. #yin%. Asterisk. Tang Tang didn't know what to say. Xiaochen was already like this, and he still had time to read those entertainment novels and biographies? However, Tang Tang finally saw what a genius was today. Compared with a genius, there was still a gap between a top student and a genius. One was born, and the other was acquired through hard work. They directly lost at the starting line. Zheng Xiaoquan didn't know the details of Xiaochen. Although he was shocked, he was not too surprised. In his understanding, if Xiaochen was not a top student, how could he enter the second high school? Cheng Minjing looked at Xiaochen, Tang Tang, and Zheng Xiaoquan eating. She was very unhappy. Don't you know that I'm also very hungry? Bebe, let's eat too. Cheng Minjing didn't want to leave the food she bought at noon for the evening. She planned to finish it now. In fact, before the evening self-study session, most students simply ate some biscuits or instant noodles. Few people would open their lunch boxes and gorge themselves like Xiaochen. Ah, cousin Minjing, aren't these your dinner? Jean Bebe was stunned. They've been brought forward. If you eat them now, you don't have to eat them in the evening, Cheng Minjing said fiercely. Oh, Jean Bebe nodded and didn't ask more. She directly picked up the chopsticks and started eating. She was a foodie. While eating, she said, delicious. Delicious. Cheng Minjing looked at Jean Bebe, who was gorging herself. For some reason, she didn't have much appetite. It seemed that the food in front of her was not as delicious as the instant noodles made by Xiaochun. In the blink of an eye, it was time for school to end. Xiaochun held a pile of review materials and walked out of the classroom with Tang Tang and Zheng Xiaokuan. However, Lu Zhenming and Skinny Monkey-like did not leave. After Cheng Minjing left, they slowly stood up leisurely. Lu Zhenming glanced at Skinny Monkey-like and asked, "Is everything done?" Skinny Monkey-like nodded and said, "Okay. We asked the people from the repair factory to fix it. They are absolutely professional. We won't find any problems in a short time. Let's go. It's our chance to show off." Lu Zhenming's plan this time was perfectly designed. Every step had been deliberated over and over again to ensure that it was carried out without any mistakes. Carrying 2 bags of review materials, Cheng Minjing and Jean Bebe got into Jean Bebe's Beetle in the parking lot. As usual, Jean Bebe was about to start the car and go home. Why didn't it start? Jean Bebe tried to start the car several times, but the car still didn't start, which made Jean Bebe a little confused. "Cousin Minjing, the car seems to be broken." "Broken? How can it be broken? Is it out of gas?" Cheng Minjing was slightly stunned. She didn't expect that the car would have a problem. "No, I just filled the tank with gas yesterday. It's full." Jean Bebe also looked up and down at her car in puzzlement. "Is the battery out of power?" Cheng Minjing knew something about cars, but it was the most basic knowledge. "No, the car still has power. Look, you can turn on the radio." While saying that, Jean Bebe turned on the radio. "Forget it. Let's take a taxi back." Cheng Minjing had no choice but to say that. "That's the only way. It's too late today. Let's call a 4S shop to tow the car tomorrow." Jean Bebe nodded and got out of the car with Cheng Minjing. Although the two of them had practiced internal strength since they were young, they were girls after all. Carrying a bag of review materials each, they felt it was a little heavy. Fortunately, it was not far from the school gate. However, when the two of them walked to the school gate, they were both dumbfounded at the same time. How could there be a taxi here? At the school gate, all the cars parked were the parents' cars that came to pick up students. There was no place for a taxi to park. Last time, Cheng Minjing and Xiaochun took a taxi at the school gate. It was because Xiaochun had a fight with Ma Gangmen and missed the rush hour. Now if they wanted to take a taxi, they could only walk 1 kilometer to avoid the cars that picked up students and call a taxi at the intersection. Otherwise, taxis rarely drove here. Walk there. Cheng Minjing was also a little helpless. They were so unlucky that their car had to break down. "It's so heavy. You will die of exhaustion, won't you?" Jean Bebe lowered her head and looked at her books. Then she looked at her breasts. "My breasts are heavy enough, but the books are even heavier. I can't walk there." "Who asked you to have such big breasts?" Cheng Minjing said angrily. "Then what do you suggest we do?" "Huh, cousin-in-law." Jean Bebe suddenly waved her hands in a direction and shouted. Xiaochun had just parted ways with Tang Tang and Zheng Xiaokuan at the gate of the school, and was about to run home when he heard a familiar voice calling him cousin-in-law. Wasn't it Jean Bebe? Xiaochun was an awesome cultivator right now. His senses were extremely keen. He captured Jean Bebe's voice immediately. "Bebe, what are you yelling for? What if somebody else hears you?" Cheng Minjing was somewhat embarrassed. She covered Jean Bebe's mouth with her hand. Fortunately, it was a mess at the school gate when school was dismissed. The sounds of quarreling, laughing, cursing, and parents calling for their children were all in a mess. Nobody paid attention to what Jean Bebe shouted. If it were not for Xiaochun's sensitivity, he probably would not have heard it at all. Xiaochun walked close quickly. Looking at the lady and Jean Bebe, who were each carrying a bag of books, he asked in confusion, "What's wrong with you? What are you doing here? You didn't drive home? Our car broke down. Help us carry it back." Cheng Minjing had been angry at Xiaochun all day. Seeing him, she handed the bag in her hands to Xiaochun unceremoniously. Xiaochun smiled and took it over. Wasn't that the job of a manservant? As for carrying a bag, Xiaochun was quite good at it. Jean Bebe gave the bag in her hands to Xiaochun too. With a sneaky smile, she said in a low voice, "Thank you, cousin-in-law." "Bebe." Cheng Minjing was so angry that she was going to kick Jean Bebe. However, Jean Bebe quickly dodged and said pitifully, "Cousin Menjing." Bebe said it in a low voice this time. Nobody else heard it. Chung Menjing did not expect that Jean Bebe would be so unreasonable. However, what she had asked just now was what if somebody else heard it. Now that Jean Bebe had said that nobody else could hear it, what else could she do? He could only swallow his grievances in silence. With a snort, he walked in front. Jean Bebe chased after her with a smile. Xiao Chen followed her with 2 bags of books. The 3 of them walked to the intersection, only to discover that there was not a single taxi. After waiting for 10 minutes, there was still no taxi. Chung Minjing's legs were numb, and Jean Bebe's breasts were almost falling off. Therefore, the 2 girls discussed for a while, and decided to keep walking. It was not going to work out at all if they kept waiting. In fact, the taxis that passed by here had all been blocked by the gangsters that Lu Zhiming hired, and asked to take a detour. Although the taxi drivers were rather baffled by the request to take a detour, who was willing to argue with a bunch of gangsters, who were obviously not good guys, and were obviously carrying daggers and sticks. They would run as fast as they could when they ran into those gangsters. The taxi drivers were out for business. Who was willing to piss off those gangsters? By then, not only would their cars be smashed, so would their passengers. The loss outweighed the gain. It was also the reason why no taxi passed by after Chung Minjing and Jean Bebe waited for a long time. Chapter 54. The 3 of them walked for a while. This time, they came to the alley where Xiao Chen was ambushed last time. This was the road to the villa area. Although it was not the only way, and they could take a detour by car, walking was the shortest way. Xiao Chen didn't know why, but when he entered the alleyway, he suddenly felt uneasy. When they left yesterday, Xiao Chen did not feel anything special. Therefore, it was definitely not a psychological shadow. Then there was only one conclusion: he was in danger. Someone must be ambushing here. And it seemed that the person was coming for him. Last time, Xiao Chen found the enemy because he felt someone was following him. This time, Xiao Chen found something unusual as soon as he entered the alley. Clearly, the perception of Xiao Chen's spiritual sense had improved along with his strength. Elder Heaven Ancestor, did you feel it? Xiao Chen asked subconsciously. Yes, I felt it. But the enemy's strength is not very high. Just a little bit stronger than before. Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice sounded in Xiao Chen's mind. Xiao Chen thought that Elder Heaven Ancestor said that the enemy's strength was not very high, which meant that Xiao Chen might have a chance to fight with them with his current strength. However, Elder Heaven Ancestor's words made Xiao Chen completely speechless. A little bit stronger than the last one? What level is this master at? It should be a warrior who has just reached level 4 of internal strength, just a little bit stronger than the last one, Elder Heaven Ancestor said. But if you meet him, you can only run away. Try to run away. I can run away, but what about the 2 in front of me? Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. At this moment, Chung Minjing and Jean Bebe had walked into the alley. If he called for them, he would definitely alert the enemy. It would be a problem whether he could run away, let alone them. However, if he didn't ask them to run on their own, would the enemy use them as hostages to force him to submit, or hurt them directly? Although Xiao Chen didn't think that anyone would dare to make a move on the young miss of the Chung family, he still hadn't figured out who was behind the scenes. Even if the other party made a move, the Chung family wouldn't be able to find them, right? Therefore, Xiao Chen did not dare to take the gamble. Recently, the Missy had been treating him well. Although she was a little arrogant, she was the Missy. Xiao Chen could understand. What's more, even if Xiao Chen ran, he might not be able to escape. Even if he had just stepped into stage 4, he still had 4 times the explosive power of an ordinary person. It would be a piece of cake for him to catch up with Xiao Chen. Just as they were thinking, a black shadow appeared in front of the 3 of them without any warning, blocking their way. You, who are you? Chung Minjing was walking in front, so she was shocked when the man in black appeared. She asked subconsciously. The man in black ignored Chung Minjing, but looked at Xiao Chen. Then, he took out a photo from his pocket and looked at it before asking, Are you Xiao Chen? No. Xiaochen said subconsciously. No. The man in black was obviously stunned. He looked at Xiaochen again, and then looked at the photo in his hand. Then, he frowned and suddenly said, Are you lying to me? It's obviously you in this photo. Do you think I'm stupid and easy to fool? Xiaochen didn't expect that the man in black would be so serious about his casual explanation. The man in black's subsequent actions also made Xiaochen feel a little strange. This person, why does he look a little stupid? And this person is called stupid? It seemed like he was really a little simple-minded. Let me have a look. Xiaochen pretended to be confused and stretched out his hand. Looking at Xiaochen's action, the stupid man didn't seem to be pretending, so he reached out his hand and handed the photo to Xiaochen. You look so good. If it's not you, who is it? Cheng Minjing and Jean Bebe stepped aside. They didn't know the origin of this stupid man, but they tacitly didn't say anything. They just wanted to wait and see. They hadn't figured out the situation in front of them yet. Oh, so you're looking for my brother. This is my brother's photo. Xiaochen looked at the photo and said directly. Your brother? The stupid man was stunned. My twin brother, Xiaochen said with a nod. This is your brother? You're not Xiaochen? The stupid man didn't seem to believe Xiaochen's words. No, you can ask them if you don't believe me, Xiaochen said, pointing at Jean Bebe. He believed that with Jean Bebe's intelligence, she would definitely be able to find an explanation. Yes, this is the eldest daughter of the Cheng family, Cheng Minjing. She used to be Xiaochen's fiancée. The Cheng family broke off the engagement with Xiaochen. How could he still be with us? You're also a warrior, aren't you? You must have heard about the aristocratic families, haven't you? What do you think? Jean Bebe said, pointing at Cheng Minjing. Oh, the elder brother's engagement was broken off, and the younger brother took his place, right? The stupid man still had some logical thinking. However, he had been cultivating since he was young, and didn't have much contact with the outside world. Therefore, he looked dumb, and was given the nickname Stupid Man by the others. Yes, you're so smart. Jean Bebe raised her 5 fingers and praised him. Where's your brother? The stupid man nodded and mostly believed it. He turned to look at Xiaochen and asked. My brother ran away when he heard that someone was going to kill him, Xiaochen said. Why are you looking for him? Of course I'm looking for him too. The stupid man suddenly looked at Xiaochen warily. Are you trying to trick me? Of course not. If you're looking for him, I have to at least figure out whether you're a friend or a foe before I can tell you where my brother is, right? Xiaochen also started to play dumb. He had to use a dumb tone when talking to this kind of idiot. I also heard that someone was going to cause him trouble, so I came to help. I'm his friend, the stupid man said seriously. Oh, I see. Then let me think about where my brother told me before he left. Xiaochen nodded as if he didn't doubt it at all. Yes, think about it. Hearing Xiaochen's words, the stupid man immediately nodded and said. His mission this time was to kill Xiaochen. This was his first training mission after he finished his apprenticeship. Naturally, he had to complete it perfectly in order to gain the approval of his family. Xiaochen pretended to be deep in thought, but in his heart, he was secretly groaning. This blockhead could fool him for a while, but he couldn't fool him forever. When this idiot called his master behind him, he would know that he was talking nonsense. At that time, he would die even more miserably. Help me carry this for a while. It's too heavy and will affect my thinking. Xiaochen couldn't think of a solution at the moment, so he started to talk nonsense to buy time. Okay. To Xiaochen's surprise, the stupid man nodded and agreed without thinking. He reached out to take the bag from Xiaochen's hand and carried it. Xiaochen thought about the countermeasures as he walked. The enemy in front of him was very tricky, especially with Cheng Minjing and Jean Bebe beside him, which made him a bit nervous. In the distance, Lu Zhenming, Thin Monkey, Ma Gongsua, Lei Dianfeng, and a group of gangsters were sitting behind a secluded public toilet, waiting for Cheng Minjing to come over quietly. According to Lu Zhenming's previous route, there was a 99% chance that Cheng Minjing and Jean Bebe would take this route, because their car was broken, and they couldn't hail a taxi, so it was impossible for them to take another route. But this route was the shortest one. Besides, this empty alley was the best place for Ma Gongsua to lead those gangsters to take action. Huh. Brother Ming, isn't that Xiaochen? Thin Monkey observed the entrance of the alley with a pair of infrared binoculars. He saw Cheng Minjing and Jean Beibei walking over, followed by Xiao Chun and a man that he didn't know. Xiaochen? Why is he here? Lu Zhenming was dazed for a moment. He picked up the binoculars and looked over too. As he expected, he saw Xiaochen here too. I don't know. I saw him give the 2 bags in his hand to the man next to him. Thin Monkey said. Is it possible that Jean Beibei found the books too heavy and grabbed a random man to carry them? Lu Zhenming speculated. It's possible. Thin Monkey nodded. After all, however smart he was, it was impossible for him to guess the relationship between Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing. In his eyes, the only possibility was Lu Zhenming's speculation. The other big guy seems to be a laborer. Is it possible that Xiao Chun found another laborer because he couldn't carry them? In their eyes, Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing and Jean Beibei belonged to 2 different worlds. It was impossible for them to have any connection. Who knows? It's possible. Forget about the big guy. Xiao Chun, on the other hand. There's a way to heaven, but you chose to walk into hell. I was worried that I didn't have a chance to mess with you. Now that you have come to me, I'd like to see if you are a good-for-nothing or not. A cunning smile flashed on Lu Zhenming's lips. He said to Ma Gongsuo, bring some men to beat the guy up later. He is the one who hurt your brother. Got it. Ma Gongsuo nodded. He could save the damsel in distress and teach Xiaochen a lesson. It was truly killing 2 birds with 1 stone. After Xiaochen was beaten badly, he would show up again and scare Cheng Minjing a bit. However, what Lu Zhenming did not expect was that his words had been heard by the elder heaven ancestor inside Xiaochen's body. Although Xiaochen was a cultivator in the 2nd level of the refinement stage, and his senses had been improved, his hearing was still too far away to hear what he said. However, the elder heaven ancestor heard it clearly. Xiaochen, someone is going to mess with you up ahead. Elder heaven ancestor's voice echoed next to Xiaochen's ears. I know. What's wrong? Xiaochen was dazed for a moment, but then he asked, is it not the guy in front of us? No, it's an old friend of yours. Elder heaven ancestor said, and passed on what he had heard to Xiaochen. Although the elder heaven ancestor did not want to be the messenger, he had no choice but to remind Xiaochen in secret. It would not do him any good if Xiaochen died. Chapter 55. What? Xiaochen was shocked. Why is it Lu Zhenming again? This guy is really haunting me. However, from what the elder heaven ancestor said, Lu Zhenming wasn't here for him. His target was Cheng Minjing and Miss Cheng. Xiaochen just happened to be buried with her. This made Xiaochen feel helpless. If he wasn't here, Cheng Minjing would at most be disgusted. But if he was here, he would probably be beaten up. But it doesn't matter. Those small fries are all martial artists who haven't reached stage 1. Elder Sky's words allowed Xiaochen to heave a sigh of relief. However, Elder Sky's next words made Xiaochen feel like vomiting blood. You just have to pay attention. There's a slightly more powerful martial artist hiding in the shadows over there. He's probably at stage 4 inner energy. Pft. #yin%. Xiaochen didn't know what to say. There was another stage 4 martial artist. How could he live? Can we influence this idiot's thoughts and make him fight with the stage 4 inner energy martial artist who's hiding behind the scenes? I can't. You're too weak. Moreover, the situation this time is different from the last time. It's useless to affect him for a second or two. He'll probably wake up before he can rush to the hidden stage for inner strength martial artist. Elder Sky decisively poured a bucket of cold water on him. Let's think of another way. Xiaochen was speechless. Think of another way. How could it be so easy to think of another way? I say, big brother. Do you remember what your brother told you before he left? Think about it carefully. The blockhead was a little impatient. This was his first mission. He naturally wanted to complete it perfectly. There was no room for mistakes. I can think about it carefully. But there are a few people in front of me who don't want me to think about it. Xiaochen suddenly thought of a plan. He spread his hands and said helplessly, although Xiaochen had played this kind of dog-eat-dog trick twice, and it worked every time. The third time was not so fun. The first 2 times, he relied on the elder heaven ancestors' influence. This time, he could only take 1 step at a time and rely on himself. Thinking of this, Xiaochen pretended to be embarrassed and said, "Oh, who?" The blockhead was stunned and suddenly became a little angry. "Don't trick me. Where? Isn't it in front of us?" Xiaochen pointed forward. Just then, Ma Gangshan walked out of the shadows with 5 of his men. The blockhead turned his head and looked. Sure enough, there were a few people who did not look like good people walking toward him. He did not doubt how Xiaochen found them. He thought that Xiaochen saw them. After all, his attention was on Xiaochen, and he did not notice if there was anyone in front of him. "Don't move, it's a robbery." When Ma Gangshan saw that Xiaochen and the others had found him, he immediately shouted and did not hide anymore. The blockhead was angry. Where did this group of trash come from? They came out to rob at the most important time? Can't they see that I am asking questions? If Xiaochen's thoughts were interrupted, and he did not remember where his brother went, how could the blockhead report back? Therefore the blockhead said to Xiaochen, "You wait. After I kill them, you think about it." After saying that, blockhead rushed towards the punks from Mongang sect. Ma Gangshan was stunned. He did not expect the blockhead to rush up first. Didn't they say that this guy was a hired laborer? Looking at this posture, isn't he a bodyguard? However, when Ma Gangshan saw the blockhead rushing up, he did not think much. He directly said to his men, "First, take down this hothead for me." "Okay." A man who rushed in front immediately responded, but just as the word "okay" was said halfway, he saw a big fist appear in front of him. As a result, with a pung sound, the man was hit and flew out. It was completely unexpected. He was unprepared. And this hit was particularly ruthless. After the man fell to the ground, he kept groaning in pain. Many of his bones were broken. With a punch, he was beaten into a disabled person. In the future he could ride the bus for free. Ma Gangshan was stunned. He did not expect this blockhead to be so bad *SS. He directly knocked down one of his men, even though it was an inadvertent sneak attack. His face was a little ugly. He said to the others, "Kill him for me." In fact, there was no need for Ma Gangwindo to say anything. The remaining 4 lackeys had already surrounded the blockhead. This fallen lackey was their sworn brother, and they usually hung out together. Now that he had been beaten to the ground, how could they not be anxious? However, the strength displayed by Blockhead was extraordinary. Before the 4 minions could attack, Blockhead took the initiative to attack. Without any suspense, one of the minions fell to the ground. His eyes rolled back, and he fainted before he could even say a word. It had to be said that the difference in strength between these underlings and the Blockhead was too great. They could not even withstand one move. One was a martial artist with inner power stage 4, and the other was a punk who had not even reached inner power stage 1. They were not on the same level at all. Seeing that 2 of the people he looked for were killed by the migrant workers around Xiaochun, Lu Zhiming was anxious. Where did this person come from? Why is he so fierce? Are the migrant workers so powerful? However, no matter what, Lu Zhiming couldn't wait. He had to make some countermeasures. Otherwise, he would have nothing to do in a while. Therefore, Lu Zhiming had to jump out in advance and shouted, "Cheng Minjing, don't be afraid. I'm here to save you." Although it was a little hypocritical to say this, Cheng Minjing was not in any danger at all. It was completely different from Lu Zhiming's expectation of Xiao Chun being beaten up and Cheng Minjing being seriously threatened. However, he couldn't just let the hero save the damsel in distress go. After that, Lu Zhiming didn't care about Cheng Minjing's attitude. He directly rushed over to the 3 hooligans who hadn't fallen yet, raised his fist, and started beating them up. Although the remaining few punks felt that the plot was different from the previous design, since Lu Zhiming made a move, they naturally pretended to be defeated and fell to the ground. A sneer flashed across Xiao Chen's lips as he looked at the pretentious Lu Zhiming. He said gratefully and passionately, "It's Brother Lu. Are you here to help us?" "Yeah. Xiao Chen, you quickly take Cheng Minjing and escape from here. Leave it to me." Although Lu Zhiming didn't want to let go of Xiao Chen, it was obviously impossible to deal with Xiao Chen in this situation. He could only let him go first. However, his words were very generous, as if he was a hero who rescued Xiao Chun and others in danger. "Brother Lu, thank you so much. Then we'll go." After saying that, Xiao Chun didn't stay any longer. He pulled Jin Beibei with his left hand, and Cheng Minjing with his right hand and ran away. Although the blockhead was a bit stupid, he was not a moron. Hearing that Lu Zhenming knew Xiao Chun, and that he called Xiao Chun, he knew that he had been fooled. Xiao Chun didn't have a brother. This guy was obviously Xiao Chun himself. This guy lied to him just now. Moreover, Xiao Chun probably lied to buy time and wait for the reinforcements of this brother Lu. As for the robbers, they were probably an accident, which made him very annoyed. He didn't care about the robbers anymore. Seeing that Xiao Chun was about to run away, he turned around and was about to chase him. However, in Lu Zhenming's eyes, the blockhead was going to leave with Xiao Chun. In Lu Zhenming's eyes, the blockhead was probably hired or found by Xiao Chun to help him. He couldn't teach Xiao Chun a lesson in front of Cheng Minjing. But Lu Zhenming was not going to let go of the blockhead, who ruined his plan. Go. He raised his hand and grabbed the blockhead's clothes, before he said coldly, "Why are you in such a hurry to leave? As a robber, you must be prepared to be beaten." Lu Zhenming was not stupid. He directly framed the blockhead as a robber. In fact, he was afraid that the blockhead really had a relationship with Cheng Minjing. If there was a relationship, he could explain that he misunderstood the blockhead as a robber. After all, he came later. He didn't see the blockhead with Xiao Chun before. Moreover, the reason why Lu Zhenming dared to attack the blockhead was that the blockhead didn't show his true strength. After all, it was just a few punks. The blockhead didn't need to use his true strength at all. So Lu Zhenming was fearless, because he didn't know. "Are you with Xiao Chun?" The blockhead frowned. Previously, he was a little unhappy with Lu Zhenming, but he was anxious to catch up with Xiao Chun, so he ignored him. He didn't expect this kid to dare to attack him. Was he tired of living? "Yes, you robber. Don't leave." Lu Zhenming pretended that he didn't know anything, and continued to frame the blockhead as a robber. However, the blockhead obviously didn't care whether Lu Zhenming thought of him as a robber or not. He looked at Lu Zhenming coldly and said, "Then you can die." Lu Zhenming was about to laugh at the blockhead. But before the words came out, Lu Zhenming broke out in a cold sweat. This was because the blockhead obviously didn't want to be entangled with Lu Zhenming. He directly showed his true strength, and was ready to kill Lu Zhenming with one blow. A stage 4 inner force martial artist. Lu Zhenming trembled all over. He wanted to escape, but his legs seemed to be filled with lead, and he couldn't move a step. Of course, in front of a stage 4 inner force martial artist, he also couldn't escape. Take this. Just when Lu Zhenming was shocked and thought that he was going to die here, Lei Dianfeng jumped out. He also saw the blockhead's strength, so he had to make a move. At the critical moment, Lei Dianfeng jumped out and hit the blockhead with his palm. He was afraid that the blockhead would harm Lu Zhenming before the blockhead took the hit, so he showed his most powerful strength. And the move he used was the most primitive, the least technical. Chapter 56. However, this could also prevent the blockhead from hurting Lu Zhenming. In such a head-on fight, the blockhead had to try his best to deal with it or run away quickly. Anyway, he had no time to deal with Lu Zhenming. However, obviously, the blockhead didn't expect that a warrior who was obviously not weaker than him would suddenly jump out and attack him. It was too late for him to dodge, so he had to let go of Lu Zhenming and turn around to deal with Lei Dianfeng. Boom! A muffled thunder-like collision sound burst out from the center of their palms. Both of them took a few steps back at the same time. This was a head-on collision. Lei Dianfeng was afraid that Lu Zhenming would be hurt by the blockhead, so he had to use all his strength. In order to protect himself, the blockhead also had to use all his strength. The result was that both of them were badly injured, and both of them suffered very serious internal injuries. The powerful collision between the two masters made Lu Zhenming click his tongue. It was too awesome. Fortunately, Lei Dianfeng jumped out and saved him in time. Otherwise, he would have been killed here. However, Lu Zhenming was a little confused. Where did this blockhead come from? Previously, Lu Zhenming thought that he was a migrant worker hired by Jin Beibei. But this was a real level 4 inner force warrior. How could it be so easy to hire him? Just now, he asked if he was in cahoots with Xiao Chun. From the looks of it, this person was obviously not in cahoots with Xiao Chun. Could he be in cahoots with Cheng Minjing? Was he Cheng Minjing's bodyguard? That was possible. Thinking that he had offended Cheng Minjing's bodyguard for no reason, Lu Zhenming felt a burst of anger. It was really a bad start. Not only did he not get the effect of a hero saving the beauty, but he also offended someone. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Lei Dianfeng looked at the blockhead coldly and asked, "Who are you?" The blockhead was not any better. After Lei Dianfeng spat out blood, he could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood as well. However, the blockhead did not answer. Instead, he pondered for a while and turned around to run away. Lei Dianfeng hesitated for a moment and did not chase after him. He was seriously injured at the moment, and he was afraid that the blockhead would lure him away. His top priority was to send Lu Zhenming back safely. Therefore, he endured the pain in his body and said to Lu Zhenming, "Master Ming, let's get out of here." "Oh, okay." Lu Zhenming was a little dumbfounded. Hearing Lei Dianfeng's words, he nodded hurriedly. Glancing at the hooligans lying on the ground, Lu Zhenming could only helplessly say to Ma Gangshan and Skinny Monkey, "Gangshan, Skinny Monkey, carry these people back to the car and send them to the hospital. By the way, pick up the books on the ground and give them to Cheng Minjing and Jin Beibei tomorrow." "Yes, Brother Ming," Zhenming and Ma Gangshan answered hurriedly. However, after glancing at the review materials scattered on the ground, Zhenming asked carefully, "By the way, should we pick up Xiao Chen's materials too?" Pick them up. Although Lu Zhenming did not want to pick them up, the situation was already like this. If he picked up Cheng Minjing and Jin Beibei's materials, but not Xiao Chen's, he would be a good guy for nothing. He was really unlucky. Not only did he fail to save the damsel in distress, but he also became a porter for free. The previously lively alley became empty in the blink of an eye. Xiao Chen dragged Cheng Minjing and Jin Beibei and sprinted all the way back to the villa. Even though the two girls had trained since they were young and had cultivated according to the method of cultivating inner force for a period of time, they were still panting from exhaustion. "I'm exhausted. Xiao Chen, you be **starred. Are you trying to tire me out?" Cheng Minjing held her chest and breathed heavily. My breasts. They almost ran away." Holding her enormous breasts with her hands, Jin Beibei shrieked, "Brother-in-law Xiao Chen, pay for my breasts." "Beibei." Cheng Minjing turned around and glared at Jin Beibei. "Pay for her breasts at a time like this? Xiao Chen is a man. How can he pay for her breasts?" "Well, you don't have to. He is my cousin-in-law after all," Jin Beibei said with a bitter face. "Do you believe that I will crush your breasts right now?" Cheng Minjing's murderous eyes made Jin Beibei shut her mouth decisively. Naturally, Xiao Chen would not take Jin Beibei's words seriously. He knew Jin Beibei's personality very well. Also, he did not think that he would really become Jin Beibei's cousin-in-law, just because Jin Beibei called him cousin-in-law a few times. Unless he was an idiot. "I'm sorry to have dragged you into this." Xiao Chen looked at the young lady and Beibei, who were panting heavily apologetically. "Xiao Chen, what's going on exactly? Who is that guy? Why is he looking for trouble with you?" Cheng Minjing calmed down and looked at Xiao Chen solemnly. "Do you need me to ask my father for an investigation?" Although the young lady's tone was a little cold and arrogant, the concerned expression on her face could not be faked, which warmed Xiao Chen's heart. Today he almost got them into trouble because of him, but the young lady did not blame him. Instead, she asked him if he was in trouble. Now, it seemed that the young lady was very kind, although she was a little arrogant. However, he did not know it clearly before, and thought that she was arrogant and looked down on others. But now, it seemed that it was not entirely the case. At least, Miss Cheng did not look down on Xiao Chen even though he was in such a miserable state. I don't know either. There are many people who hit him when he is down. Who knows if Lu Zhenming directed and acted it himself? Besides Chen Jinping, Chao Yuliang, and the others will also hit him when he is down. When Xiao Chen said this, he paused and looked at Cheng Minjing. Of course, In fact, it is also possible that. At this point, Xiao Chen did not continue, but with Cheng Minjing's intelligence, she should have already guessed what Xiao Chen was going to say. Sure enough, Cheng Minjing's expression changed slightly. The Cheng family was also one of Xiao Chen's suspects. Immediately, Cheng Minjing dismissed the idea of asking the Cheng family to help with the investigation. In the Cheng family, her father did not have the final say. Even as the young master, he temporarily took care of the Cheng family's business, but old Master Cheng did not give him too much power to interfere with the family's affairs. Instead, it was firmly controlled by old Master Cheng. In fact, to put it bluntly, Cheng Zhongming was more like a transition. According to old Master Cheng's original idea, the position of the young master should fall on Cheng Minjing's missing uncle. But something went wrong halfway. However, in such a family environment, if Cheng Zhongming helped Xiao Chen, it was very likely that he would not only be of help but also implicate himself. After all, Cheng Zhongfan was eyeing the position of the young master covetously. Let's go home. We will buy a car on the weekend. Cheng Minjing did not say anything else but said calmly. Her intention of buying a car was very obvious. She wanted Xiao Chen to drive back to the villa with them every day. In this way, the possibility of encountering enemies in the back alleys would be greatly reduced. Okay. I just want to change a car, Jean Bebe said happily. Facing Jean Bebe's thoughtlessness, Cheng Minjing did not know what to say. She tidied up her sleeves that were wrinkled by Xiao Chen, and was about to go home when she was suddenly shocked. On my bracelet? What bracelet? Xiao Chen was stupefied. Before my grandma passed away, she left me this bracelet. This is the only thing my grandma left me. Cheng Minjing was a little anxious. In the Cheng family, girls were not valued much. Although she was the arrogant miss of the Cheng family outside, she was always someone else's daughter-in-law in the eyes of the Cheng family. Therefore, in terms of internal force cultivation, she just practiced a little. No one would specially guide her. In the Cheng family, besides Cheng Zhongming and his wife, the one who treated Cheng Minjing the best was Cheng Minjing's grandma, old Madame Xiao. Old Madame Xiao's surname was Xiao. In fact, she was also a member of the Xiao family. She was Xiao Chen's grandpa's sworn sister, but they were not related by blood. This was also the reason why Cheng Minjing and Xiao Chen could get engaged to each other smoothly. After all, Cheng Zhongming and Xiao Feng were the second generation of the family. No matter how close they were, without the approval of the old master, it was impossible for them to get engaged to each other privately. At that time, with old Madame Xiao's help, there was no obstacle in this matter. However, old Madame Xiao had passed away long ago. Old Master Cheng got married again, and the youngest son of the Cheng family had an accident. Therefore, no one in the Cheng family could protect Xiao Chen. If it were ordinary jewelry, Xiao Chen wouldn't care too much about it. However, this bracelet was different. It was a gift from his grandpa and old Madame Xiao when they became sworn sisters. He didn't expect that it would be passed on to Cheng Minjing. The meaning of this was self-evident. Of course, Xiao Chen wouldn't think that old Madame Xiao had other bracelets, because old Madame Xiao was not a woman who loved beauty. She was also a warrior and had very few jewelry. However, even if this bracelet was not the one given by his grandpa to old Madame Xiao, Xiao Chen would help eldest Miss find it. On the one hand, it was his fault that the bracelet was lost. On the other hand, even if it was not his fault, eldest Miss had treated him well these days. Naturally, he would help her if he could. However, how could he find it? Before Xiao Chen spoke, Cheng Minjing had already begun to go back to find things. However, it was dark. Even if there were street lights, it was difficult to see things on the ground clearly. Cheng Minjing, wait. Xiao Chen suddenly stopped Cheng Minjing. Cheng Minjing turned around and looked at Xiao Chen with some doubts. She didn't understand why Xiao Chen stopped her. Xiao Chen didn't say much, but walked quickly to Cheng Minjing's side. Suddenly, he reached out and held Cheng Minjing's little hand. He picked it up and sniffed it. "Yeah, what are you doing?" Cheng Minjing was shocked by Xiao Chen's sudden action. She subconsciously shook off Xiao Chen's hand and stared at Xiao Chen angrily. "Are you taking advantage of me? Let me smell it again." Xiaochen said as he pulled Cheng Minjing's hand again. What are you doing? Cheng Minjing was shocked and angry. Xiaochen, have you taken the wrong medicine? Why are you still thinking about these dirty things at this time? Didn't you pull me enough just now? Chapter 57. It was not until then that Xiaochen realized that his action had raised the lady's misunderstanding. With a bitter smile he explained, No, Cheng Minjing, you misunderstood me. What I meant was that I can help you look for a bracelet. You, smell my hand, and help me look for a bracelet. Cheng Minjing frowned. She did not quite believe Xiaochen's words. But on second thought, she realized that Xiaochen had been quite well behaved during the days he shared the house with her, and he did not try to take advantage of her. Was he really trying to help her find a bracelet in such a way? Exactly. Xiaochen nodded his head. The enhancement of the six senses was a benefit brought about by a second-level refinement stage cultivator. Xiaochen was only operating it with the intention of giving it a try. After all, high-level cultivators would sometimes rely on their sense of smell to search for natural elixirs deep in the mountains and forests. Holy sh*t. I told you that my cousin-in-law is a transformer. Now he is going to transform into a police dog. Jean Bebe said excitedly. Sister Minjing, hurry up and let my cousin-in-law perform. Well, all right. Cheng Minjing was not entirely convinced. She thought to herself, let's see how I punish you if you can't find the bracelet later. How dare you take advantage of me with such an excuse? I will certainly not let you go. Xiaochen nodded. He held Cheng Minjing's hand and sniffed it carefully again. It was a natural and refreshing fragrance of a girl, which fascinated Xiaochen. However, Xiaochen was not in the mood to enjoy it right now. If he could not find the bracelet, the lady would probably go mad. Looking at Xiaochen's solemn face, Cheng Minjing was more or less convinced. Xiaochen did not look like a lecher in any way. Therefore she simply allowed him to keep sniffing. After he had more or less memorized the fragrance of the lady, Xiaochen loosened his hand. He knew when to stop. Although she smelled nice, Cheng Minjing was no longer his fiancée. Follow me. Xiaochen walked slowly in front, but his eyes didn't look at the ground. He was relying entirely on his sense of smell. He believed that the eldest Miss bracelet had just fallen, so the smell on it had not completely dissipated. If it was within a few dozen meters, Xiaochen might still smell it. Cheng Minjing's face was filled with suspicion, while Jean Bebe's face was filled with curiosity. The two of them followed behind Xiaochen. After walking for about a mile, Xiaochen suddenly stopped, then turned around and walked towards the green belt on the side of the road. Looking at Xiaochen walking to the green belt, Cheng Minjing's face suddenly turned a little ugly. She was dragged all the way back to the villa area by Xiaochen. Although it was not necessarily a straight path, it was impossible to turn into the green belt, right? How could it be possible that her necklace was in the green belt? However, Cheng Minjing still followed them angrily. She wanted to see how Xiaochen would explain if it was not here. However, to Cheng Minjing's surprise, there was a small dog lying under a tree where Xiaochen was standing. The small dog was obviously a stray dog. It was malnourished, and its fur was a little mixed. It seemed to be the offspring of several generations of crossbreeding dogs. Moreover, it was skinny and ugly. Of course, the dog was not important. What was important was that there was a bracelet under the dog's feet. It was the bracelet that Cheng Minjing had lost. Obviously, this bracelet had been found by this dog and brought here. At this moment, Cheng Minjing's eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. Xiaochen actually had such a magical ability? Was this person the foppish fiancé that I used to have? Cheng Minjing found it more and more difficult to see through Xiaochen. There seemed to be a lot of unknown secrets about this guy. Holy sh*t, cousin Minjing, you found a treasure. My cousin-in-law is really a transformer. Jean Bebe was also shocked at this moment. She looked at Xiaochen up and down curiously, as if she wanted to find out what was different about Xiaochen. Cousin-in-law, were you pretending to be weak before? If I had known that you were so awesome, I would have married you on behalf of my cousin. Why did you break off the engagement? It was such a waste. Bebe, it's not too late now if you want to get married. Can I talk to my aunt later? Chung Minjing's face darkened when she heard what Jean Bebe said. She turned around and glared at Jean Bebe. Well, I think I'd better not steal someone else's love. Jean Bebe shut her mouth. Doggy, give the bracelet back to me, will you? Chung Minjing squatted, fearing that the dog would pick up the bracelet and run away. What's the point of negotiating with a dog? Just give it to me. Xiaochen picked up the bracelet casually and returned it to Chung Minjing. Then he said, This dog seems to be a stray, doesn't it? Let's catch it and make it into soup. What do you think, Jean Bebe? Okay. Jean Bebe nodded, drooling. Xiaochen, how can you be so unsympathetic? This is a good dog, and it helped me find the bracelet. Instead of thanking it, you're going to kill it and make it into soup? Chung Minjing was immediately anxious when she saw that Xiaochen was going to catch the dog. It was me who found the bracelet, all right? Xiaochen pointed at himself, somewhat amused. It's just a stray dog. Look, its hind leg seems to be wounded. It will probably be killed if it stays here. I might as well let it die. Who says I'm staying here? I like this dog very much. I think it's my lucky star, and I'm going to take it back and raise it. Chung Minjing said in a hurry. Xiaochen, if you dare eat it, I'll eat you. Chung Minjing's words were rather ambiguous. Jean Bebe thought quickly. Her big eyes blinked, and she looked at Chung Minjing's alluring red lips, and then at Xiaochen's crotch. She seemed to want to say something, but she did not dare to. Chung Minjing noticed that Jean Bebe was looking at her stealthily out of the corner of her eye, and knew that she was up to no good. She seemed to have thought of something herself, and her face slightly blushed. However, she pretended to be calm and said, Xiaochen, I'm not negotiating with you. You are my servant. Now you will hold the dog. Let's go home together. All right. Xiaochen's lips curled into a smile as if his scheme had succeeded, but the missy couldn't see it, because Xiaochen had already bent down to hug the puppy. In fact, when Xiaochen walked close and found the bracelet, he had sensed a familiar air from the dog. As for what it was exactly, Xiaochen could not tell, but he felt a sense of intimacy, as if he and the dog were the same kind. Xiaochen was rendered speechless when he thought of the idea. How could he be the same kind as a dog? However, no matter what it was, Xiaochen wanted to bring this puppy back and study it slowly in the future. However, he was living under someone else's roof right now. If he brought a dog back out of nowhere, wouldn't Chung Minjing burst into fury? Therefore, Xiaochen played a trick. As it turned out, Miss Chung was quite sympathetic. She offered to bring the dog back and raise it. The dog did not struggle when Xiaochen picked it up. It seemed to be at ease and left with Xiaochen. Jean Bebe looked at the dog and then at Xiaochen. She wrinkled her nose deep in thought. When they returned to the villa, it was already past 8 o'clock in the evening. Jean Bebe's car broke down. She could not go home, so she had to stay in the villa for one night. When they returned to the villa, they saw Yi Xiaoya brewing medicine in the kitchen. The strong smell of medicine filled the whole living room, which made Chung Minjing frown involuntarily. When she was about to say something, Yi Xiaoya went upstairs with the electric pot, not giving Chung Minjing any chance to lose her temper. Obviously, it was not a good feeling to brew medicine in the room. Xiaochen had endured it before. They came back late today. Perhaps Yi Xiaoya thought they were not coming back, so she went back to the kitchen to brew medicine. Unexpectedly, they came back halfway. However, Yi Xiaoya reacted quickly and left with the electric pot. I'm so angry. Chung Minjing gritted her teeth, but she had no place to vent her anger. Jean Bebe looked at Yi Xiaoya's back and asked, Is she that Yi Xiaoya? Yes, Bebe. Teach her a lesson for me later, Chung Minjing said angrily. Okay. Jean Bebe nodded. Xiaochen put the dog in the pet room in the backyard of the villa. When the villa was built, it was designed to have a place to put pets. There was a separate room at the back of the villa. Xiaochen, I'm hungry. Go and make instant noodles for us. Chung Minjing was really exhausted today. Not only did she run home from school, but she also went back to look for the bracelet. When she got home, she fell on the sofa and did not want to move. Jean Bebe was full of energy. She looked around the villa curiously. It was her first time coming here. You don't have instant noodles today. I brought back some food. As Xiaochen spoke, he opened his school bag. He had thrown away the review materials, but he had been carrying the school bag with him. It contained the food that he blackmailed from Yu Xiaochuan at the school cafeteria at noon. Xiaochen put the lunch boxes in the school bag on the table one by one. Cheng Minjing was stunned. She did not expect that Xiaochen had prepared food for her. Previously at school, when she saw Xiaochen gorging himself, she thought that he had already forgotten about her. Thinking that she had eaten the food that she originally wanted to bring to Xiaochen, the young lady suddenly felt a little ashamed. Her pretty face suddenly turned red, but she said, "It's not leftovers from you and Tang Tang, is it?" Xiaochen was stunned. He did not expect that Cheng Minjing would pay attention to him, and knew that he had eaten with Tang Tang. It seemed that Cheng Minjing had never looked at him in the eye when he was in number 1 middle school. Xiaochen was a little confused for a while. "No. Anyway, Yu Xiaochuan is treating me, so I asked for one more to pack," said Xiaochen. "Why did Yu Xiaochuan treat you to dinner?" This was the question that Cheng Minjing wanted to ask before. She sat far away at noon and did not know what happened, but she was too embarrassed to ask. "He saw Tang Tang with me and thought I was her new boyfriend. He finally found a reason to dump Tang Tang. Of course, he was happy and treated me to dinner," said Xiaochen. "So you admit it?" Cheng Minjing felt a little uncomfortable when she heard that Xiaochen was Tang Tang's boyfriend. Chapter 58. Does it matter whether I admit it or not? Besides, he doesn't know me. What the young masters of the big families want is nothing more than a high-sounding excuse to maintain their dignity. Even without me, it would have been impossible for him and Tang Tang to be together. Xiaochen shrugged. The young masters of the big families? Xiaochen, judging from your tone, you don't seem to be one of them. Cheng Minjing was immediately amused. Me? What dignity do I have? Xiaochen said with a bitter smile. Let's not talk about that. Let's eat. Seeing that Xiaochen did not talk much, Cheng Minjing thought that she had hit Xiaochen's soft spot. Therefore, she did not say anything else. Little did she know that Xiaochen did not care about that at all. Cheng Minjing and Jean Beibei were really hungry. However, when Cheng Minjing was eating, she behaved like a lady from a respectable family. No matter how hungry she would not gorge herself. Instead, she was still taking small bites of food gracefully. Jean Beibei, on the other hand, did not have the consciousness of a lady from a noble family at all. She simply grabbed a prawn and put it into her mouth. While eating, she said vaguely, Cousin Minjing, this is delicious." Xiaochen's way of eating was similar to Jean Beibei's. Xiaochen had thought that Tang Tang was bold enough when it came to eating. It did not occur to him that Jean Beibei was even better. Although Tang Tang was not bashful or polite, she did not directly grab the prawn with her hands. Her mouth was full of oil. Jean Beibei, on the other hand, was sucking her fingers while eating. "Beibei, it's really a good choice for you to marry him." Two hungry ghosts reincarnated. Looking at their table manners, Cheng Minjing did not know what to say. "That's more delicious." Jean Beibei did not think it a big deal at all. She grabbed another lobster and started eating. However, the shell of the lobster was too hard for Jean Beibei to bite it open. Therefore, she simply gave it to Xiaochen. "Cousin-in-law, help me open it." Xiaochen took over the lobster, peeled the shell, and gave the meat inside to Jean Beibei. Jean Beibei, however, opened her mouth and craned her head. It was obvious that she wanted Xiaochen to feed her. Xiaochen did not think too much and placed the lobster into Jean Beibei's mouth. However, Cheng Minjing could not stand it anymore. She coughed and said, "I say, Beibei, how can you be so arrogant when you're fat? Are you really going to marry Xiaochen? Why are you showing your love in front of me?" "Ah, a cousin-in-law is not an outsider. What's the saying? Sister-in-law is half of brother-in-law's butt? Ah, well, my cousin-in-law is not an outsider. What's the saying? A sister-in-law is half of her brother-in-law's butt." Pooh! Cheng Minjing was rendered speechless. She said angrily, "He is not your cousin-in-law. Moreover, what butt is not butt?" "Beibei, why are your thoughts so complicated?" "Oh, She is my cousin Minjing's servant. She can peel the lobster for me too, Jean Bebe said matter-of-factly. Chung Minjing did not bother to talk to Jean Bebe anymore. Of course, Chung Minjing did not think that Jean Bebe would fall in love with Xiao Chun either. Although the girl seemed to be crazy, she actually had high standards. None of the young men from the noble families caught Jean Bebe's eyes. Before, Jean Bebe had often badmouthed Xiao Chun to Chung Minjing. Xiao Chun had run into a sucker who would only come back once in 1,000 years. He wanted a lot of food. Even though the few of them ate as much as they could, there was still a lot of food left. However, they first finished the seafood that could not be kept overnight. There were still many other dishes left. Chung Minjing could not take it anymore. After dinner, she lay on the couch and watched TV, while Xiao Chun cleaned the crab shells and lobster shells. Jean Bebe, on the other hand, did not rest, but helped Xiao Chun clean the unfinished food. Cousin Minjing, if you don't exercise after dinner, you will grow fat, Jean Bebe reminded her. Do I look like you? Do I look like you? I find it cumbersome when I go out. Chung Minjing did not believe it. She knew her figure very well. No matter how much she ate, she would never gain weight. However, her breasts were her weakness. Naturally, she was not satisfied with Jean Bebe's exercise after dinner. Jean Bebe did not bother Chung Minjing. Instead, she closed the lunchboxes one by one and put them into the fridge. Then, she went to watch TV with Chung Minjing. Xiao Chun, on the other hand, collected the food waste such as shrimps, crab shells, and bones. He went to the backyard of the villa and threw them to San Xian. San Xian was not picky at all. He ate them happily. When Xiao Chun returned to the villa, he saw Yi Xiaoya coming downstairs and taking something from the fridge. However, when she opened the fridge and smelled the strong smell of food, she could not help but frown. Why did you put leftovers in the fridge? Yi Xiaoya was a bit anxious. She turned around and glared at Chung Minjing. Before Chung Minjing could say anything, Jean Bebe said, "What should I put in the fridge if not leftovers?" Yi Xiaoya wanted to refute, but she did not know how to do so. Yes, who didn't put leftovers in the fridge? She could only say, "My stuff can't be put together with the leftovers. It will be contaminated." "Then you can take it out," Jean Bebe said matter-of-factly. "Take it out." Yi Xiaoya was irritated by Jean Bebe's words. She said subconsciously, "Why don't you take it out? I'm not afraid of contamination. Why should I take it out? Whoever is afraid of contamination can take it out," Jean Bebe said innocently. Yi Xiaoya lost her temper because of Jean Bebe. However, Jean Bebe's words were reasonable, and she could not argue with her. At this moment, Yi Xiaoya finally tasted Chung Minjing's pain. The little girl in front of her was obviously not as easy to deal with as Chung Minjing. Although Chung Minjing was a little spoiled, she was not scheming. However, Jean Bebe was cunning. She was obviously a little devil. Knowing that she could not get anything by arguing with Jean Bebe, Yi Xiaoya simply turned around and walked out of the villa. Xiao Chun was a little confused about why Yi Xiaoya went out so late at night, but it was inappropriate for him to ask. Although Yi Xiaoya had lent him an electric cooker, he was on Chung Minjing's side after all. He could not help Yi Xiaoya. "Well done, Bebe. Yi Xiaoya has been defeated by you." Chung Minjing finally vented her anger. After being oppressed by Yi Xiaoya for days, she finally got her revenge. Jean Bebe just smiled and said nothing. In fact, she could tell that Yi Xiaoya was not a person who liked to socialize with others. Fortunately, she was here today. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for her to embarrass Yi Xiaoya. After a while, Yi Xiaoya came back with a roll of plastic wrap in her hand. Then, she wrapped the box of bitter fruit tightly 3 times before putting it back into the refrigerator. Obviously, she did not have the exclusive right to use this public refrigerator. She had to figure out a way by herself. However, after doing this, Yi Xiaoya did not show any dissatisfaction. She went upstairs directly. Chung Minjing wanted to see Yi Xiaoya's sad face, but she did not see it. It had to be said that Yi Xiaoya was really a strange person. Far away from the alley, a limousine was parked. In the limousine, the young man was still looking at the injured blockhead in front of him with a gloomy face. "Did you succeed?" Looking at the injured blockhead in front of him, the young man had an ominous premonition. Xiaochun was just an ordinary person, but the blockhead was injured. Obviously, it was not a good thing. "Young master, I'm sorry. I failed to live up to your trust," the blockhead said guiltily. "Xiaochun is not dead. What happened?" The young man's expression changed slightly. Sure enough, he had made a mistake. However, he was still a calm person and did not lose his temper on the spot. "It's like this, young master. When I met Xiaochun before, I was deceived by him." With that, the blockhead told the young man about how Xiaochun pretended to be Xiaochun's younger brother. "How can you believe this? Your name, Big Blockhead, isn't just for show." Listening to the blockhead's words, the young man was very angry. However, he also knew the blockhead's character, so there was nothing he could do. "Young master, I'm sorry," the blockhead said in fear and trepidation. "Forget it. Continue. Since you know that you were deceived, why didn't you do it?" The young man waved his hand and motioned the blockhead to continue. After that, "I was asking Xiaochun about his brother's whereabouts when a group of hooligans suddenly appeared. Of course, these hooligans weren't experts. They weren't even martial artists at stage 1 of Inner Force. So, I wanted to get rid of them, and then ask Xiaochun." Blockhead continued. "While I was dealing with these hooligans, someone called Brother Lu suddenly rushed out. He seemed to be Xiaochun's classmate. When he appeared, Xiaochun heaved a sigh of relief. I think this person was Xiaochun's accomplice. Xiaochun had been perfunctory with me before, so he was probably waiting for this person to come to his rescue. But he thought that I was in cahoots with those hoodlums. After beating up the hoodlums, he came to beat me up." Brother Lu? Lu Zhenming? Such a name suddenly popped up in the young man's mind. He suddenly became furious and knocked the teacup on the small table in front of him to the ground. "Lu Zhenming, F***ck your mother. What does this have to do with you? Why do you always come to ruin my good things?" The young man, who had always been calm, finally couldn't help but fly into a rage. But it was no wonder. The last time he sent a martial artist to kill Xiaochun, he was killed by Lu Zhenming's desperados. Now Lu Zhenming jumped out again. I don't know if his name is Lu Zhenming. Xiaochun calls him Brother Lu. The blockhead said carefully. "Get to the point. What happened to Lu Zhenming after he came out?" In fact, the young man didn't need to ask. He had already guessed in his heart that today's matter was most likely messed up by Lu Zhenming's interference. "Yes, Brother Lu. After Lu Zhenming came out, he wanted to teach me a lesson, but he was no match for me. However, suddenly, one of his powerful subordinates jumped out and fought with me. His subordinate was also a martial artist at stage 4 of Inner Force. His strength was comparable to mine, so we were both injured," the blockhead said. Chapter 59. Okay, I got it. You go back and rest in peace. The young man didn't blame the blockhead. Although the blockhead was a bit stupid, he couldn't blame himself for today's matter. If someone was to blame, it was Lu Zhenming's fault. "Yes, young master." The blockhead was relieved and carefully got out of the RV. "What do you think?" After the blockhead left, the young man asked the butler who was sitting next to him and had not spoken. Those hooligans seemed to have appeared at random. Since Lu Zhenming jumped out to beat up the hooligans, it proves that he and the hooligans are not in cahoots. Also, he mistook the blockhead for a hooligan, which also proves this point. The butler analyzed. However, this person must have been called for help by Xiaochun. In this way, the previous incident was not a coincidence. "I got it. I asked you to investigate the relationship between Lu Zhenming and Xiaochun last time. Did you find out?" asked the young man. "No, young master. You also know that second high school is not in our sphere of influence. We have never paid attention to second high school before. However, according to my inquiries, Lu Zhenming doesn't seem to have any relationship with Xiaochun. Instead, there seems to be some conflict," the butler said with some doubts. "Conflict? If there is conflict, why would he help Xiaochun? Is he crazy?" The young man didn't believe this rumor at all. "I don't know about this." The butler shook his head and said, "After Xiaochun went to the new school, he seems to be very low-key. Almost no one knows him, so it is very difficult to inquire about him. Okay, continue to inquire, said the young man. Then, do we still carry out the next action against Xiaochen? Asked the butler. Forget it. Let's take it slow. Let's find out about Lu Zhenming first. The young man pondered for a moment and said, By the way, do you think Lu Zhenming knows that these two people were sent by me? This is hard to say. If we can find out that the other party is from the Lu family, the Lu family can naturally find out our origin. It depends on whether the other party wants to investigate. The butler thought about it and said, You're right. The youngster nodded. The reason why he dared to attack Xiaochen was that Xiaochen had lost the protection of the Xiao family, and Xiaochen himself did not have the ability to investigate who wanted to kill him. If Xiaochen died, then he died. If the Xiao family came back to their senses and wanted to investigate, then there would be no evidence. But the Lu family was different. No matter what, Lu Zhenming was the young master of the Lu family. Even if the Lu family was the weakest of the 4 great families and 5 small families, they still couldn't be underestimated. It wasn't difficult to follow the clues. In the wee hours of the morning, Xiaochen quickly climbed out of bed, put on his clothes, and rushed to the grocery store near the morning market street. Although he was ambushed last night, Xiaochen couldn't give up eating for fear of choking. He still had to continue living. Now, Xiaochen was racing against time. As long as he won more time and improved his strength, then the pressure he faced would be easily solved. When Xiaochen came to the grocery store, Tang Tang had just arrived. Tang Tang was a little surprised that Xiaochen came so early. Xiaochen, you're good. You're getting up earlier and earlier? I'm trying to make more money. Xiaochen was really short of money. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let go of such a small amount of money. Hee, I didn't expect you to be a miser. Come and help. Tang Tang rubbed her hands and pointed to the tricycle in the yard. It was already late autumn, and the weather was gradually turning cold. It was still very cold in the early morning. Since there was Xiaochen, Tang Tang didn't touch the cold tricycle handle. Xiaochen didn't care. He jumped on the tricycle and said to Tang Tang, Why don't you get in? By the way, don't you need to tell the auntie? No, auntie can't get up so early. Tang Tang jumped on the tricycle, and Xiaochen rode to the morning street. The cold autumn wind in the morning blew on Tang Tang's face and messed up her beautiful hair. Tang Tang smiled and brushed her hair back. Looking at Xiaochen's back, she suddenly felt very warm. It was really interesting that the abandoned sons of 2 families would come to sell breakfast together. Thinking about the life of a rich lady before, Tang Tang felt that it was very far away. Her current life made her happier, especially after she met Xiaochen. She found that she was no longer lonely. Tang Tang knew Zheng Xiaoquan's feelings, but she couldn't respond. In the past, Tang Tang had an engagement, so it was impossible for her to have anything with Zheng Xiaoquan. Now, Tang Tang had become an abandoned son of her family. Even if the Zheng family had been removed from the ranks of the 4 big and 5 small families, it was impossible for them to marry an abandoned son of the Tang family, whose engagement had been broken off by the Yu family. Therefore, although Tang Tang and Zheng Xiaoquan were best friends, it was absolutely impossible for them to develop into lovers. But Xiaochen was different. Xiaochen and Tang Tang were both children of the 4 big and 5 small families. They were also abandoned sons of their families. The most important thing was that both of them were broken off their engagement. The 2 could be said to be a super match. Of course, the most important thing was that the 2 could get along. As soon as this thought came out, Tang Tang was shocked. Why am I thinking about this? Shaking her head, Tang Tang gave up her wild imagination. At this time, Xiaochen also rode the tricycle to the position of the morning street stall. Xiaochen was not as sentimental as Tang Tang. He was about to be killed. How could he have the mood to talk about love? Quickly taking down the equipment on the tricycle, Xiaochen began to knead the dough. Tang Tang also began to get busy. The 2 started a day of business, just like other husband and wife. It might be because of Xiaochen's good craftsmanship. Many repeat customers who bought the youtiao yesterday and felt that it tasted good came to the youtiao stall to buy it. Those who didn't buy it yesterday also squeezed in today. For a moment, Tang Tang was so busy with weighing and collecting the money, that she didn't have time to help Xiaochen. You are responsible for selling it. Xiaochen had now become a skilled worker. He was frying the youtiao in the pot and kneading the dough in his hands. He didn't delay either. The most amazing thing was that Xiaochen seemed to be able to calculate when the youtiao would be out of the pot. The time was just right. This made Tang Tang click her tongue in amazement. This guy was simply born to be a deep-fried dough stick. If this thought was heard by the elder heaven ancestor, it was unknown whether he would vomit blood. The cultivator was such a powerful high-end profession, but it actually made Tang Tang become the material for frying youtiao. Today, Tang Tang had prepared a lot of dough, but at the current speed, she was afraid that the supply could not meet the demand. After only an hour, half of the noodles had been sold, and the people in the line behind did not reduce. It was estimated that in more than an hour at most, the rest of the noodles would be sold out. And now, it was just 5 o'clock. Tang Tang used to sell until 7 o'clock every day. Sure enough, at a little after 6 o'clock, the noodles in Xiaochen's hands were all sold out. For the customers who didn't buy the youtiao in the line behind, Tang Tang could only apologize. In many cases, the more something couldn't be bought, the more people would chase after it. It had to be said that sometimes the strategy of starvation sales was very effective, but Xiaochen and Tang Tang weren't starvation sales. But there was really no more. It's still too conservative. Tang Tang and Xiaochen packed up together and sighed. If we distribute so many noodles, we can also sell them out. Do you want to tire me to death? Tang Tang classmate. Xiaochen had been doing mechanical exercises for more than 2 hours. Although he was a cultivator, this work was really hard. Every moment, he had to concentrate on perceiving the dough in his hands and the youtiao in the oil pan. A little carelessness might not achieve the current effect. Of course, Tang Tang didn't know these things. She thought that he was really a genius in frying youtiao. Capable people do more work. Xiaochen, do you know? Today we earned more than 600 yuan. If we sell twice as much tomorrow, it will be more than 1,000 yuan. Tang Tang was a little excited. She had been selling breakfast for so long, but she had never made so much money in a day. Oh, Xiaochen was slightly stunned. More than 600 yuan today? If it was really as Tang Tang said, more than 1,000 yuan a day, then in less than 10 days, he could save 10,000 yuan. And this money was enough for him to buy medicine. Thinking of this, Xiaochen hesitated and said to Tang Tang in a negotiating tone, Tang Tang, prepare to double the dough tomorrow, but can you give me the money you earned first? Give you? Are you in urgent need of money? Tang Tang was slightly stunned. Well, I need 10,000 yuan. It's urgent. Xiaochen smiled bitterly and said, if I wasn't in urgent need of money, I wouldn't be so desperate to make money. You did a whole day of review materials yesterday just to get a scholarship of 10,000 yuan. Tang Tang seemed to understand Xiaochen's idea. It turned out that he needed money. Yes. Xiaochen nodded affirmatively. You should have said it earlier. Tang Tang smiled. Although I didn't make as much money as I do now by selling breakfast before, and I don't have much left after deducting the rent, but I still saved 10,000 yuan. I really don't have more if you need it. I just saved 10,000 yuan a few days ago, and I will give it to you later. Xiaochen looked at Tang Tang with a relaxed smile in amazement, and a warm feeling came to his heart. Although Tang Tang said it easily, Xiaochen could imagine how difficult it was for Tang Tang to save 10,000 yuan. Tang Tang only saved 10,000 yuan after selling breakfast for so long. But with a word from him, Tang Tang took it out without reservation. Xiaochen was really excited and moved. He didn't know how he could make Tang Tang treat him with such sincerity. Thank you. Xiaochen didn't refuse. He knew Tang Tang's character. If he refused, Tang Tang would be unhappy. Ai Xiaochen, aren't you treating me like an outsider? We are also brothers who have gone through thick and thin together. And with you, the master of fried dough sticks, isn't 10,000 yuan a matter of 8 or 10 days? Tang Tang smiled generously and said, let's go. I will give it to you later. That you're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.